metropolitan Melbourne for the game today. Hawthorn and St Kilda. St Kilda on the ground. Umpires David Howlett and Chris Mitchell on the ground. Hawthorn just about ready to come on. And for Samsung Electronics, Graham Bond on centre wing on members' side in the 3AW shirt sleeves.
Thanks, Rex. Well, a fairly strong wind from the north this afternoon, blowing to the Lygon Street end, probably favouring the forward pocket in front of the main scoreboard here. Looking across to the north, the skies are fairly threatening, a lot of grey clouds up there. But, chances are we might get a shower later in the day, but at this stage as the rain is holding off. The ground is in excellent condition at the moment. No change in the St Kilda side, but in the Hawthorn side, it appears that Paul Deere will be out of the side and his place will be taken by number 26, Paul Cooper. But at this stage, the gusting wind, the reserve side, both teams scored it equally at each end. The wind didn't affect the game too much, but I'd say definite advantage to the Lygon Street end, blowing across the ground, that forward pocket in front of the main scoreboard.
And Graham Bond's weekly ground report for Samsung Electronics.
For today, for tomorrow.
Tuck leads Hawthorn onto the ground, and Hawthorn's banner goes up, and it doesn't matter if Lockett's playing. The Hawks will have the Saints praying. That's what it says. And before we go to Ron Barassi, let me just say that for 40 years, Gwenny White has been a St Kilda supporter. She's in the Peninsula Private Hospital. And the St Kilda people wish you all the very best for a speedy recovery. Gwenny White, a great St Kilda supporter. And very soon we'll be going to Ron Barassi. And let me say that Hawthorn would seem to be on the ground doing their preliminaries, and he has completed his preliminaries. I must apologise, I was out of the box for a moment and I didn't realise that Ron had given his preliminaries. But let's just go around the grounds and check on any... Hawthorn today making one change. Brereton comes into the side, Whitman out, and then a late change prior to the game. We'll find number 13, Greg Deere, out of the side, being replaced by number 26, player Cooper. Let me tell you that out of the St Kilda side, all injured, Cummings, Daniels and Brian Wilson from last week's team, which was defeated by Essendon, and Muller has been omitted. Into the St Kilda side, Hilton with the long flowing blonde locks, Russell Jeffrey Smith, who has the Rex Hunt haircut, and Harding is back into the side. A lot of people believing that's where he should be. With further setting to the scene, here's Graham Bond.
Yes, Rex. Well, Paul Deere failed a fitness test on Thursday night. He had a bruised thigh and didn't get through that. St Kilda lost 3 players at training Thursday night. Cracker, Wilson and Peter Freeman all tore hamstrings and broke down, so they had a bit of bad luck on Thursday night. Just on our game here today, I mentioned early on air that St Kilda have lost its last 26 games in a row here at Princes Park. The only occasion they ever defeated Hawthorn here was back in round 12 in 1976. And the last time they actually defeated Hawthorn was last year, in the first game last year, but up until then they hadn't defeated Hawthorn prior to that since 1979. Interesting to see the last 4 times the clubs have met. Tony Lockett kicked 4 goals last year in the last time they played. He kicked 5 the game before, but prior to that he didn't play the 3 games. So out of the last 5 times, then he played twice against the Hawks, but he does hold the record for St Kilda players kicking goals against Hawthorn, and that's 9 goals. He holds that jointly with Verdon Howe. For the Hawks, Peter Hudson has kicked the most number of goals against the Saints, and that's 12. Jason Dunstall has kicked a level against St Kilda. But last year, the 2 sides met, as I mentioned, and the Hawks did win at Princes Park, as they have done on the previous 19 occasions against St Kilda. So the last 26 games here lost by St Kilda. Let's hope they can break the ice today for the St Kilda people.
Toss has been taken. Michael Tuck won the toss and immediately chose to kick to the Lygon Street end. To our right, we look up to the Sydney Road, or Robert Heatley stand in, and that's the end to which St Kilda will be attacking.
Just to help us up here, Graham, I would just like you to repeat what the wind's doing down there. I know it's very, very blustery and people sort of conjure up advantages to either end, but how is it at ground level?
It's fairly strong once you get out on the ground, Rex, but there's a lot of protection from it around here, particularly in front of the George Harris stand. So I'd say that goals will be scored fairly comfortably from this side of the ground, which is what the members' side of the ground, in front of the George Harris and Heatley stand. But on that far side, that forward pocket where the main scoreboard is, it's fairly strong and gusty out there.
Well, Dermot's pretty happy. He went across and went out of his way to shake hands with Nicky Winmar, and needless to say, it'll be natural to shake hands with Morris.
And a sensation, Tony Lockett, pardon me, in the first ruck. Will go up against the young player Lawrence for Hawthorn. Bounce of the ball in the air. Lockett was beaten by Lawrence down onto the ground. Newport over the top of the footy for St Kilda. Throw the blanket over 26 players as I speak. Finally Anderson tried to get out of it, but Jeffrey picked it up and kicked it inside 50 for St Kilda. Here comes Stewart Lowe at the spearhead. Came down to the new player Hilton. Hand passed across looking for Kitsky, who tackled his Hawthorn opponent. Craven comes outside 50 over the top of the footy. Will have to get rid of it, but picked up by Platten. Spills to Jeffrey for kick number 2 within 30 seconds. Spills in towards the 50-metre line, right half forward. Kitsky slow motion. Pushed in the side by McGuinness. Here comes Platten. Stacks on the mill. A very, very lively opening. Right half forward with the football going to umpire Chris Mitchell. We have played 1 minute in the first term at Princes Park. No score yet on CIG. Gas and Gear scoreboard. Ball on the ground, now in the air. Knocked out by Kitsky. Went down to McAdam. Tries to gather the footy. Pressure plus here as Collins picks it up for Hawthorn. A high ball down towards centre wing position. And Lockett has taken the mark, but there's a free kick going to Hawthorn's Robram. There was interference there and shepherding. Robram's got the kick. Down towards Brereton. One hand not good enough. The hand pass came down and went to Hudson, and he's kicked to behind. The hand pass came brilliantly from Tony Hall to Hudson on left boot. Football went behind. First score Hawthorn, 1 behind 1 point. 1 minute and 3/4. CIG Gas and Gear scoreboard 3AW.
Morris is going to kick the ball back into play. Several changes made by the Saints. Morris coming up to the line to kick to the outer side. Over there is Lockett. Lockett on the half-back flank. He got a nudge in the back. Play on was a call. Went down to ground. Picked up by Ayres. Ayres boots in towards centre half forward, but a good mark taken in defence there by Rice of St Kilda. Rice hand passes away quickly. Works that one across fairly quickly to Pekin. Pekin upfield, and away they go around the outer side of the ground. Grant in control onto the left foot, driving up towards the half-forward line, over the heads of several players. McGuinness over there, pushing the ball out towards the line. That's gone over the line to be thrown back into play. At a position between the centre wing and half-forward flank for St Kilda as they travel around that outer flank to go up to the Sydney Road end. 1 point on the Strathbogie scoreboard. That to Hawthorn as the ball comes whirling back into play on that outer side. Kitsky and high there was Madigan. He got the thump down, but picked up very quickly and booted afield by Platten up towards centre half forward. Players, Hall in particular, overran the ball. It went to Robin, a slick hand pass, and they work it up towards the full forward spot. And plonking himself in front was Hudson. Too shrewd and too strong there on that occasion. And Hudson will kick from direct range, or directly in front of goal. At point blank range is what I was trying to say, at 3.5 minutes into the quarter. Hudson, 9 goals a week ago. Living up to a great name, but doing it on his own. And Hudson's put this one on its way, and it's through for 1 point. 1 point only on the 3AW scoreboard. 3AW CIG Gas and Gear scored amongst our many scoreboards, and Hawthorn are on 2 behinds as the ball is kicked back into play by Morris. Coming around over towards Rice. Rice takes the mark in the back pocket on the member side of the ground. Spears a kick upfield, up towards McAdam at centre wing. Had it for a moment, punched it around the boundary line. Still trying to keep it into play, but eventually the boundary umpires elected to say that it's over the line out of bounds.
Lockett has taken his position at full forward on Langford. Stewart Lowe now on the ball, and Kitsky's going to go up in ruck against Lawrence.
At the centre wing position on the member side of the ground, and up it comes. At the back it was Lawrence swiping it away, got it to Ayres, who did it quickly. A hand pass to Collins. Collins had to make it good and did. Up to the half-forward line on the member side of the ground, juggling there. Hall down to the ground it goes. It's going to be taken away. Coming around the member side of the ground and booting it up to Kitsky. A nice pass up there from Danny Frawley. There's a brawl behind play, not a brawl, a scuffle. Now the ball being booted upfield by Kitsky. Up towards the half-forward line, travelling around the member side of the ground. Cooper leading in the race for the ball. A chance there for Allen. Allen and Cooper. Neither could hold the ball. Allen got it, went to ground. Hand passed away over to Cooper. Tip and tap. Out to Harvey. A hand pass to McAdam. McAdam lost the run of the ball. Kicked off the ground by Tuck. Picked up by Rice. He's tackled quickly. Out it goes to Winmar. Ducking, weaving. Trying to get it away. Play on as a call. And eventually it's come out. And the Hawks go away through Anderson. Working the ball across to McGuinness. McGuinness half-back flank outer side. Pumps the hand pass upfield. And away they go around the outer side of the ground. up by Langford, up towards Hudson. Hudson, the bounce didn't bounce too well for him. Pekin came in and over the line they go, out of bounds, and it'll be thrown in on the half-forward flank outer side, down at the Lygon Street end with 2 points on the board to the Hawks.
Lively football, Princes Park. Ball out of play, outside 50. Hawthorn into attack. Ball back in, knocked by Kitsky. Grabbed it, high ball towards Grant, and Grant of St Kilda thumped it over the boundary line. Sam Newman at Cardinia Park, your score?
Well, we haven't started here yet, Rex.
Al Martello at Windy Hill.
Haven't started.
OK, MCG, Gary Bryce.
5-minute mark. North Melbourne a 7-1-1-7 to Collingwood, no score.
Ball back into play. Kitsky versus Rodburn. From behind, Coghlan grabbed it for St Kilda. Pritchard kicks a high ball inside 50. David Grant might have taken the mark, but he spilled it and went over the boundary line. John Murphy at VFL Park.
No players yet, Rex.
OK, so 3 games at 2:08 today. And, of course, this is 3RW football at Princes Park. 50-metre line. Hawthorn into attack. Knocked out by the big fellow Kitsky. Came down to Rice. Hand pass to Morris at fullback today. Kicked it in towards the centre of the ground. Here comes Michael Tuck. Thumped over the top by Anderson. Here comes Anderson again following up. He's got it beautifully. Swings out of trouble. Rice comes through for St Kilda. Handballs to Frank Coghlan under pressure. He tapped it on. Picked up by Collins of Hawthorn. Kicked long and hard by Allen of Hawthorn. Spills inside 50 looking for Hall. Hall is tackled by Jeffrey. Too high, said the umpire. The crowd didn't like it, but I thought it was there, Ron Barassi.
Yes, just a bit stiff, but it was definitely there.
So Hall, 45-degree angle. Outside 50, here comes the lead from Brereton from behind. Frawley has given away a free kick. He's given away a free kick, and the crowd don't like it. Frawley can't believe it, and Brereton will kick from 30 metres out. Here's Barassi.
Yeah, well, gee, it might have been there, but I think it's pretty tough dead in front of goal. It's very technical, I thought.
Brereton has got the football, and that is all that matters. The stats man is shaking his head. I think a few people are. But Brereton has got the football, and he's kicked a goal. First goal, Hawthorn. 1 goal, 2-8 Hawks. St Kilda yet to score. Hawks to the Lygon Street end. 10 in CIG Gas and Gear scoreboard. Let's go to Gary Bryce at the MCG.
Scores a level. Collingwood 1-1-7. North Melbourne 1-1-7.
3RW footy. Here's Barassi.
Yes, well, Hawthorn definitely opened up the best here. A little bit more short in their ball handling and able to tackle, to handle the tackling that's been going on from both sides. Both sides really pressurising the other. Plenty of energy in this game.
Back in the centre for the bounce, it'll be Lawrence. Lawrence contesting the issue, but Kitsky beat him for the punch. It went to Tuck in the centre. Tuck booting it long up towards centre half forward. Hudson sets himself, roving the pack as it were. Rodburn cleverly, but the kick is astray. It's out of bounds on the full, and Rodburn had it all in front of him then after skirting the pack, crumbing if you want to call that, skirting the pack, and he plonked it straight out of bounds at the Lygon Street end. A golden opportunity missed, and the ball to be kicked back into play by Grant. Grant of St Kilda. Underneath the big scoreboard there at the Lygon Street end, kicks it wide. Somebody was high over there. That was Morris, but it went over the line to be thrown back into play. At the half-forward flank for Hawthorn on the outer side, and they're attacking to the Lygon Street end at 10 minutes into the quarter. They have kicked 1-2, and the Saints haven't registered a score as yet. The ball spinning back into play, in there doing the ruck work. Kitsky got a knuckle to it, went down into a pack of players, none of whom can take it away, and the umpire wisely, in this particular instance, decides to bounce the ball. It's about 55 metres out from goal on that outer flank, down at the Lygon Street end, and the score 1-2-0 on the 3RW scoreboard, with Hawthorn leading on that score. It was knocked away. I think Rodburn had a touch of that. Kitsky may have had a bit too. Up to Winmar, knocked away from Winmar, over towards the boundary line. The crowd say there's a free kick here, and it'll go to Nicky Winmar. Or whether the crowd said or not, the umpire decided the free kick will be there. And Winmar, coming off the half-back flank on the outer side, has kicked it long. It's gone beyond the centre wing position. Up there will be Madigan to take a mark for Hawthorn. But before that, there's a free kick to St Kilda, and back it goes to the big fellow in Kitsky. Coming up to take the kick now and driving it long in towards the full forward spot, spoiling Lockett, knocking it away from that player. Some solid bumping going on. Langford worked it out beautifully, and Hawthorn wobble away, booting it upfield, up towards the half-forward flank, and a good mark over there to Kitsky again, coming away from centre into wing position, kicking it long. It's the best I've seen him at the moment. Harvey had enough to mark it. The umpire thought not. Over on the half-forward flank, still on the outer side of the ground. Players going in regardless of anything. Down to the ground it goes. A chance here for Winmar, and he tapped it cleverly across to Coghlan. Coghlan get it across to Burke, and Burke came upfield to kick it to Smith. Smith is marked, running in from 30 metres out, and he's put it offline for 1 point. 1 point only, and that takes St Kilda onto the 3AW score board. Just the 1 point, trailing Hawthorn 1-2. 3AW CIG gas and gear scoreboard.
And Langford has the football at the Robert Heatley or Sydney Road end of Prince's Park. A low trajectory kick is meant for, and finds Cooper, the late replacement for Deere. Cooper on left boot has got a lead from Robran, who's up. Couldn't take the mark. Platten picked up the crumbs. A low trajectory kick spills inside 50, meant for Hudson. Pekin in close control of Hudson, and the ball spills over the boundary line and out of bounds. So Lockett now returning to full forward, and in close attention he's got Langford. And we have the ball out of play, just 43 metres around from Hawthorn's goal. They're 1-2-8, St Kilda 1 behind 1 point. Knocked out by Morris of St Kilda. Ayres came through, kicked it, picked up by Jeffrey, spills the football to Stuart Lowe. Can't take the mark. Madigan right on his hammer, kicks it off the ground. Here comes Anderson of Hawthorn on the draw, hand pass it further afield. Here comes Jenke on the left boot. A long ball in towards forward zone. Jeffrey couldn't take the mark, but spills it nicely outside 50. Looking for the racing Winmar, close to the boundary line, and he just can't get it, Nicky, before it went over. Gary Bryce at the MCG.
North Melbourne lead by 7 points. They're 2-2-14. Collingwood are 1-1-7.
11 minutes in, 3AW footy.
Ball coming back into play. Ruckman doing battle. High was Frawley. Did the ruck work. Knocked it down. Eventually they work it out towards Grant. Grant, and also there was Newport. Knocked away from that player. It spills out again. Still on the half-forward line for Hawthorn, but the Saints will clear with Frawley coming away and booting it in towards the centre of the ground. Tuck in there. With going to be Harvey coming through with great dash. Harvey wiggles and wobbles and does a hobble to get away. Gets up onto the left foot and then onto the right foot, and away he goes from centre wing up towards the centre half forward spot. It's too long. Lockett coming through, showing the agility which is rarely shown. He's knocked to the ground and the crowd hoot down it goes. A chance here for Lockett to back up. He got it under control, gave it over there quickly to Winmar to boot upfield, and looks like a mark to St Kilda in the forward pocket, and it'll be the big fellow Lowe in the forward pocket on the outer side and kicking up towards the Sydney Road end. Well, Lockett really showed a turn of pace there. There was no question about that, but the fellow that did spurt away was Harvey when he got possession of the ball and made a pretty impressive appearance in the state game from what one could judge. Lowe has it now. He's 25 to 30 metres out, the angle 50 degrees. He's put it on its way. The umpire looks pretty good from here, or his decision does, and that's a goal to Lowe, and the Saints get onto the 3AW scoreboard with their first goal, 1-1-7, trailing Hawthorn 1-2-8.
I really admire Stuart Lowe for the way he's worked hard at those vital goals. Ron Barassi.
Yes, well, there's nothing worse than wasting your team's effort upfield by just missing easy set shots, and he has worked on his game. He's become quite a reasonable set shot for goal, particularly from about the 35 to 45 range, so it's a really, really good thing to see.
Ball back in the centre. Umpire Chris Mitchell puts it down. Up high there, Lawrence for Hawthorn. Got it out to Collins coming through on the left hand, looking for Hudson. Frank Coghlan picks it up. Kicked off the ground there by Hall, but it went out to Craven of St Kilda. He kicks it onto Members' wing position near the commentary area here. Picked up by Pritchard of Hawthorn. He's got in his sights Collins over his head, and Coghlan has been interfered with. Pushed in the back, and good decision by umpire Chris Mitchell there. On the draw, he'll hand pass to Newport on the left boot, met by Dermy. Play on, Lockett is up, and so too Langford. Ball spills out towards Lawrence. He thumped it clear, looking for Jenke coming through nicely. Jenke is at right back pocket and kicks a booming kick outside 50, and Anderson waits and takes a beautiful mark for Hawthorn.
On the half-back flank on the outer side of the ground, he doesn't know which way to go. It eventually goes down towards the half-forward line. Brereton over there gave him the lead. Knocked towards the boundary line with Morris in pursuit, and it's out.
Sam Newman of Cardinia Park.
The Crows are 1-1-7, Geelong are 1 straight goal.
El Martello, Windy Hill.
It's in Melbourne, no scores.
Back into play on the half-forward flank for Hawthorn, outer side. Down at the Lygon Street end, it spins back into play. Hawthorn's Rodburn did the ruck work there. He's doing everything. Eventually came out to Pekin. Pekin's hand pass was nullified, picked up by Brereton. To and fro, it goes back and forth, and eventually they'll get away with Winmar. If he can get away, it beautifully bumped aside there, and that was great football by Allen. It might have been up there, knocked away, up towards the half-forward flank, and Brereton comes in to take the mark. The Hawks are tough, rough and tough customers, and they did it well then, and the kick over towards Rodburn, making upfield, going upfield. Ooh, Hall was flattened like attack. Rodburn picked it up skillfully. He's 30 metres out, pumps the hand pass over to the wounded Hall. That player onto the left foot, ooh, it's away, and it's over the line out of bounds on the full, and the free kick will go to Frawley. So it's 1-2 to 1-1, Hawthorn leading. 3WCIG gas and gear scoreboard, and Frawley about to kick the ball back into play. He's had 2 or 3 possessions, Bondi.
He's come out for his 3rd kick now.
Coming up to take the kick now from the boundary line, up just to the left side of the behind post, underneath the scoreboard, favouring the outer side and kicking it long. Up towards where Harding should have taken the mark. He didn't, wrestling themselves free there. The Hawks bouncing away with Lawrence doing this and that, and eventually getting the ball under control to lose it. He flipped it out very quickly to Anderson. His kick upfield is knocked towards the boundary line, over to the pocket, picked up by Craven, and Craven's kick is wide, not handsome, over towards Collins and over towards the boundary line, and out of bounds where Burke had it, but it's out of bounds to be thrown back.
Gary Bryce at the MCG.
6-point lead to North Melbourne, 4-2-26 to Collingwood, 3-2-20.
And the ball now back into play. 60 metres around Hawthorn's goal. Lygon straight in, knocked out by Harding. Went down to Dean Anderson, a high ball in towards centre half forward. Brereton missed it. Here comes David Grant. He's out in front of Tony Hall. Hall comes around and grabs it. Hand pass it further afield, looking for Jarman. Stacks on the mill, and the ball spills behind. Hawthorn a 1-4-10, St Kilda 1-1-7, 3RWCIG gas and gear scoreboard, and it is 16 minutes in. Make that 1-3-9. John Murphy, VFL Park.
West Coast by 16 points, 2-4-16. Richmond hit the score.
Frawley, Lygon Street end, kicks a long ball outside 50, looking for Harding, not there. The ball spills clear to Jenke. Hand passes to Rodburn on the left boot of Hawthorn, in towards Jarman, who just waits and delivered the ball beautifully, Rodburn, to the waiting Jarman, and he said, well, thank you very much. So Jarman is outside 50, will kick from 51 3/4 metres. Breeze slightly at his back. He comes in and puts the ball on its way, and this is a good kick, and Harding thumps the ball through to concede the behind. Hawthorn 1-4-10, St Kilda 1-1-7, 17 minutes, CIG gas and gear scoreboard. Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
Well, but both Geelong and the Crows are 1-1-7.
And shortly to El Martello. So here comes Danny Frawley, a long ball out there looking for Stuart Lowe. Play on, said the umpire. The ball spills clear to Ray Jenke of Hawthorn. He picks it up after fumbling. Hand passes to Jarman. Jarman's got a lead from Dean Anderson. Anderson's over the top of the ball. He comes around and gives Craven the flick. Hand pass it further on to Hall. Here comes Collins. Crunch! He was gone. And Harding picks it up, and St Kilda will get away with it as Craven comes out and clears.
Around the member side of the ground, up towards McAdam. It bounced off his chest like a off a drum, down to the ground it went. McAdam slipping and sliding, looks for a desperate hand pass and finds Burke. Burke onto the right foot, booting it up towards the half-forward line. Over the head of Kitsky, but he makes up some ground. Takes under control. He's played pretty well at the moment. Kitsky on the left foot. Hooks it up to Lockett, and that's good football. Good football, Kitsky in the start, and a nice plunge forward by Lockett to take the mark. He was out in front of Langford. He got a metre in front, and that was enough for him to plunge forward and take the mark. But Kitsky's played well. Some stats on Kitsky, please, Graham.
2 marks, 3 kicks, 1 hand pass and 3 hit-outs.
Well, there it is. So Lockett now lining them up from 20 metres out, 20 to 25 metres out, and one would expect him to kick the goal here. Such as the accuracy of the man under normal conditions, and they are normal. There's a bit of a breeze, but Lockett coming up from 25 to 30 metres out. He's heading up to the Robert Heatley stand end, and he's put it through for a goal. No problem about that one, and that's the Saints' second goal. They're playing pretty well. They're 2-1-13, and the Hawks are 1-4-10.
Their comment by Bill Barassi, they are playing well, St Kilda.
Yes, well, the game's almost gone 20 minutes in the first half of that time. 8 or 9 minutes certainly was Hawthorn's better play that put them to the front, but now in the last 5 or 6 minutes in particular, the Saints have definitely rallied, and that was tremendous play by Kitski. I just didn't think he could do that sort of stuff. He's a bit of a lumbering type, but the left foot pass, I'm not sure whether he could do that more than once out of every, say, second time, but it was very, very effective on that occasion.
Back in the centre for the bounce, and down it goes in the middle of the ground, and Lawrence pumps it away up towards centre half forward. It bounced that far anyhow. A chance for Grant. He fends off a tackle, and away he goes and fends off another tackle. Shrugged that one off. Boots the ball around the member's side of the ground, and there's going to be a mark. And guess who too? It's the big fellow in Lowe. Lowe will tick it now from the half forward flank across towards the centre half forward spot. Lockett using his bulk. Couldn't keep Langford away. Play on as the call, and go away. Pumping the ball away was Cooper. Cooper up to Jenke on the half-back flank on the outer side. He's got to be quick, and he is. Onto the left foot, and he's delivered up towards the centre wing position, and over there to take the mark, or should be taking the mark. Well, it was Hall, hand pass very quickly across field. The Hawks were trapped there. Eventually, Pritchard came in, hand pass, but it was intercepted by Newport onto the left foot, over towards the outer side of the ground, and over there he's found a target, and that target I think might be Hilton, over there on that half-forward flank, on the outer side of the ground and driving it in, but it's intercepted by Platten. Half-back line now for the Hawks, and he kicks it back towards centre wing. Over there is Hall in front, and tapping it away was Grant, and Grant's tapped it towards the boundary line. The boundary umpire eventually waves the hand and says it's out of bounds, and Winmar comes up in an aggressive attitude. The ball out of bounds on centre wing on the outer side of the ground. It's 2-1 to 1-4 with the Hawks trailing on the 3W CIG gas and gear scoreboard. Ruck work done there, knocked to the ground. Over the top was Coglan. It came out again. Nobody able to control this one. Harvey in there trying to tap it away. Did tap it away, got it free over in the direction of McAdam, but it's Coglan running wild again up towards the lead, up by Lockett. He kicked it low. Lockett knocked about 3 over. Down to the ground it goes at centre half forward. The umpire's blown the whistle, and the free kick is going to go against Lockett. It's going to go to Hawthorn, be taken by Madigan. He hand passes to Collins.
Collins lopes away, draws opposition, hand pass Ray Jenke. Long kick meant for Brereton from behind Frawley, and there's going to be a free kick to St Kilda, and it's going to go to Frawley by the looks of things. No, it's not. It's going to go to David Grant, or give it to Pekin. So Pekin now is going to kick it out to the lead further afield of Newport. Rice takes a beautiful mark and plays on. Needs support from Craven. Right on his hammer is Platten, who won't let him go. Hand pass from Ayres finds Anderson. Hawthorn into attack. A long ball. Hall is there. Hall is taken a screamer. What a magnificent mark, running in the same direction of the flight of the ball. Huge pressure there from David Grant, but Tony Hall, back from injury, took it superbly. Let's get a score from Al Martello at Wendy Hill.
12-minute mark, and Melbourne lead 1-1-7. Essendon 1 goal.
So Tony Hall from 15 metres and goal. So Hawthorn are 2-4. That total will be 16. St Kilda 2-1-13 through our WCIG gas and gear scoreboard. Gary Bryce at the MCG.
A 9-point lead to North Melbourne, who are 4-5-29. Collingwood are 3-2-20.
Johnny Murphy at VFL Park.
West Coast lead by 22 points, 3-4-22. Richmond yet to score.
Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
Geelong by 7 points, 2-2-14. Adelaide 1-1-7.
The ball is back in the centre, and umpire David Howard has got it. We are approaching the 24-minute mark in the first term, and Hawthorn lead by 3 points. The ball goes up, knocked out by Harding, looking for Rice of St Kilda. Ayres grabbed it and took it nicely, but the free kick has been paid. I thought perhaps advantage should have been paid, and Andrew Collins is going to come up and take the free kick for Hawthorn.
I don't think either umpire were quite coordinated then. It's Collins now kicking to the member side of the ground where Lawrence is on his own, takes the mark and runs away and kicks it long up towards the full forward spot. There's a lot of jostling high there, and knocking it to the ground was Jarman. Jarman's got it down to Rodman. Rodman hand passing out towards Brereton. It didn't bounce too well for him. Morris in there for St Kilda, nearly said Hawthorn. Went to Harvey. Harvey a hand pass to Frawley was quick. Frawley gave it a field to Burke. Burke playing fairly solidly. Bounced off the chest of Kitski. It's on centre wing position, member side of the ground. Players striving for it near the boundary line, but the boundary umpire rules it out of play, and the umpire will throw it back into play. It's 2-4 to 2-1. Hawthorn leading as we hit the 24-minute mark of the first quarter at Princess Park, and back into play it comes in the front berth. Harding, nobody knocked that down really. It went to ground pretty quickly. Newport kicked it up and skirting the boundary line, whacked it out of bounds again. So it's between centre wing and half forward flank on the member side, journeying up towards the Sydney Road end of the ground. That's the way the Saints are attacking, and they're hoping they can work it up the big fellow Lockett up there in anticipation. Oh, roving it beautifully there, Rice. Off the pack and up to the full forward spot. Lockett's got the set at the back, and he's taken the mark. Lockett just dropped back. He read the flight of the ball beautifully upfield. Langford was coming down, and Lockett propped back just that little bit, Ron.
Yes, well, it's a great judgment, of course, of two very experienced footballers. In fact, I think the big fellow had to bow down a little bit in experience, but a terrific mark.
Yes, it was. Lockett now just 10 metres out. Langford dejected on the mark. Lockett will kick a goal. He's booted it on its way, and he has kicked the goal. So that takes St Kilda on to 3-1-19 and Hawthorn 2-4-16 in a pretty interesting opening at Princes Park.
Here we go for CIG Gas and Gear, Cardinia Park, Sam.
2-2-14, the Crows 2-1-13.
Windy Hill, Big Al Martello.
Melbourne 1-1-7, Essendon 1 goal.
Barrel Bryce, MCG.
North lead by 2 points, 4-5-29. Collingwood 4-3-27.
Here's Murph at VFL Park.
West Coast lead by 16 points, 3-4-22. Richmond 1 straight goal.
Ball back in the centre with umpire David Howlett, and St Kilda. Lockett has booted 2, low 1 for Hawthorn. Brereton and Hall have kicked their goals. A skew with bounce favoured Lawrence, tapped it down to Platt, and a quick kick found Allen. Allen kicks it inside 50 for Hawthorn. Here comes Hudson, right on the spot, Pekin. Beautiful play, Hudson. Hand passes further afield, got it down towards Tony Hall from the kick there, and that was from Jarman, and that was lovely play to Hall. And a very, very good kick found Tony Hall on a 45-degree angle, probably heavier than that, probably a 70-degree angle here at Princes Park. Kicking right into the face of the breeze. A short runner puts it into the air. It won't score. From behind, Frawley thumps it away, and the ball spills over the boundary line and out of bounds. It is time on at Princes Park, and St Kilda lead 3-1-19 and Hawthorn 2-4-16.
Ball coming back into play in the forward pocket on the member side, knocked away by Morris, skirted beautifully by Jarman, and his left foot snap bounced in the goal square, bounced back away, back into play. Pekin was in pursuit, Hall too, player scrambling for position there. It eventually came out over there to Robran. The kick smothered on the way through. It's still in the forward pocket on the outer side of the ground, just in front of the big scoreboard, and the umpire will bounce the ball. I don't think he had much choice other than to make the decision to bounce it there, with players scrambling around everywhere. 26 minutes into the first quarter of the game at Princes Park. It's 3-1-2-4. The umpire bouncing the ball in the forward pocket, outer side. Robran did the ruck work, knocked it down. It goes here and there, and eventually it's kicked through for 1 point by a Hawthorn leg. That's what I see in the skirmish, and that's 1 point only to Hawthorn, taking them on to 2-5-17. Trailing St Kilda 3-1, 19 on the 3W Gas and Gear scoreboard. CIG Gas and Gear scoreboard. Frawley kicks it back into play, favouring the outer side of the ground. Over there was a big fellow in Lawrence. Should have marked it, didn't. Tapped over towards the boundary line. St Kilda players in abundance there. Harding and Winmar, but it's gone over the line to be thrown back into play. It's round about 70 metres from goal at the Lygon Street end, and on that outer side of the ground. 19 plays 17 as the ball comes whirling back into play. Morris, would you believe, did the ruck work there. Picked up very quickly by Rice, and his kick was marked upfield by Pritchard over there on that outer side of the ground, spearing the ball in towards centre-half forward, but there is Jeffrey to take the mark in defence at centre-half back for the Saints. 26 and a half to 27 minutes into the quarter, and he's kicked it around over towards the member's side of the ground. We'll find Newport tapping it out in front of him, getting onto the left foot to boot in towards the centre of the ground. High there will be Winmar, knocked away from him, gives a chance to Platten roving the pack. It came scooped out to Ayres, and Ayres a handball to Platten. Platten bounces twice, going away and kicking it. He kicked it into Jeffries, going across his path. On the rebound to Jarman. Jarman 30 metres out, goes bang at the goal, and he's kicked a goal. That's good football, initiated by Platten in the middle, with a couple of bounces and putting them into attack, and it was Jarman that capped it off with a lovely goal to see the Hawks onto 3-5-23, St Kilda 3-1-19.
Go to Ron Barassi at quarter time, but let's go from the top. Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
Geelong are 5-2-32. The Crows are 2-1-13.
Windy Hill, Al Martello.
Melbourne by 7 points, 2-2-14. Essendon 1-1-7.
Gary Bryce, MCG.
North lead by 2 points. They're 4-5-29. Collingwood 4-3-27.
Ball back in the centre. Umpire Howlett was knocked out by the big fellow in Lawrence. Went down to Ayres. A left-footed skew with punt kick down towards Hall. Couldn't take the mark. Tried to claim it. Hand pass came from Pekin and found Newport. Newport kicks it outside 50. He'll be looking for Harding. Brereton and Harding clash. Went down to Ayres again, and he's got Anderson and Robran, but punched away beautifully by Morris of St Kilda. Nathan Burke tidies up in front of Pritchard. Hand passes to Winmar. Winmar's kick is a worm burner inside 50. Picked up by Stuart Lowe. On the draw to Winmar. He's got a kick, and he's going to kick a magnificent goal to Winmar. That is just sensational play, and that will be the Premier Holidays goal of the day so far. That was sensational play. I'll give you the score, and then I want a comment from Ron, because he was in the play, he followed up and he kicked a great goal. Hawthorn at 3-5-23, St Kilda at 4-1-25.
Yes, it was tremendous follow through by Winmar, but I think the best piece of that play was Lowe, the way he picked up that ball and alerted his opponent to give the hand pass to Winmar. He'd come through following his own kick up forward.
29 minutes and they bounce the ball in the middle of the ground, and it's knocked away by Lawrence. He's done most of the ruck work well. Up towards centre half forward, Brereton scooped it away. A chance for Rice to pick up. Couldn't run it, and he eventually bumped it out there to Morris, who's had a few possessions. Down toward Jenke overrunning the ball. Tapped here and tapped there. Coming around there will be Collins. Collins dummying the hand pass and booting the ball across to a lead by Platt, and he played to, but Pekin chopped it off. Took the mark and handball to Burke going upfield. Had a good quarter, Burke. Burke up to centre half forward. Lowe's taken the mark. If he can kick this, I'll give Ron $1 million I owe him. He was out 80 metres out from goal, had a kick, but it was just punched away quietly. At quarter time, after a very good first quarter, St Kilda 4-1-25, lead Hawthorn 3-5-23. 3WCIG Gas and Gear scoreboard.
Sam Newman, your score please at Cardinia Park.
Well, Geelong lead by 19 points. They're 5-2-32. The Crows are 2-1-13.
And let's go to the big fella at Wendy Hill.
20-minute mark, and Melbourne lead by 7 points, 2-2-14 to Essendon 1-1-7.
The round fellow at the MCG.
Oh, me. You got me there. 9-point lead to North Melbourne. 5-6-36. Collingwood 4-3-27.
With the stand gone, any wind assistance there at all?
Yes, it is favouring the main scoreboard end, and Collingwood have it at this stage.
Thank you to Gary Bryce. John Murphy at VFL Park.
23-minute mark. West Coast kicking with the breeze, lead by 23 points, 4-5-29. Sumich has kicked 3 goals to Richmond 1 straight goal.
And there's the police horse with his baton down there. And let's tell you that St Kilda, for Lockett has kicked 2 and Lowe and Winmar the other goals. And for Hawthorn, Brereton, Hall and Jarman have kicked goals. Let's get some better players from Bill Jacobs.
The most prominent players in that term for Hawthorn were Jenke, Collins, Hall, if you don't mind, Ayres, Anderson, Jarman, Lawrence, Pritchard, Brereton, Robran, Madigan and Platten. For St Kilda, Newport, Frawley, Lockett, Grant, Winmar, Kitsky, Morris, Coughlin, Lowe, Burke.
And here's Graham Bond with some stats.
First quarter kicks to Hawthorn 52, 48 to St Kilda. Marks in St Kilda's favour 15 to 10. Of Lowe's taken 3 and Lockett 3 and Rice 3 marks. In the hand pass area, Rice had 7 hand passes in that quarter and Pekin 4. Whilst for Hawthorn, Jarman had a good quarter with 6 kicks and a goal. Jinky had 5 kicks. Hall had a great quarter, 3 marks, 5 kicks, 3 hand passes and 1 goal.
Okay, back shortly here at Princes Park after a pretty lively first term. Hawthorn trail St Kilda. The Hawks 3-5-23. St Kilda 4-1-25. This is 3RW football. To Cardinia Park, Sam Newman.
Well, we're still playing here, and Geelong lead by 26 points. They're 6-3-39. The Crows are 2-1-13.
Al Martello, Windy Hill.
Goal right on the siren to Essendon. They trail by 1 point. Melbourne 2-2-14, Essendon 2-1-13.
Ball back in the centre for the start of the second term and knocked out by Harding of St Kilda. Throw the blanket over 20 guys. It came out to Winmar. Kicks a big long high ball inside 50. Looking down there for Hilton. But it's going to be a free kick to Greg Madigan. So Madigan, the boy from Marcelin College, has got the football at centre half back. He's playing on Stuart Lowe, who's asked to come back a metre by the umpire. Madigan kicks it outside 50 to the centre wing position. Up high there. Trying to get the ball going was Hall. Running over the ball there. Anderson on top now. And the umpire held is going to bounce. Gary Bryce at the MCG.
Quarter time, a 9-point lead to North Melbourne, who are 5-6-36 to Collingwood 4-3-27.
And John Murphy.
28-minute mark, and West Coast lead by 20 points, 4-5-29. Richmond 1-3-9.
Ball bounce, knocked out by Harding. Went down towards Craven. Stacks on the mill. Nathan Burke grabs it and kicks a long ball in towards centre of the ground. It spills end over fist. Here comes Kitsky, but here comes McGuinness, equal to the task, and he kicks it high and long down to centre half forward. Playing the ball and trying to get it going was Hall. Jarman's over the top and pushes his opponent in the back. Pritchard's claimed, and umpire Howlett will bounce again in a pretty scruffy first couple of minutes of this second term. Let's continue with you, Sam Newman, at Kardinia Park.
We're still going. Geelong is 7-4-46. They're swamping Adelaide 2-1-13.
Minute and a half in. Ball on the ground. Centre half forward. Hawthorn going to the Sydney Road end. Picked up by Robran. He kicks it over the head of Hudson, who's interfered with Pekin. Pekin takes the hand pass across towards Frawley. Frawley kicks it outside. He's cleared up. No free kick down the ground, but Morris is equal to the task. He'll kick it long and hard down towards the right 50-metre half forward line. Stuart Lowe knocks it on. Hand pass came out, and Ben Allen had a kick, but it went down towards Harvey. Over the top again to Hilton. Knocked it on beautifully, McAdam, but a good smother. Ended up with Lawrence of Hawthorn. He hand passes to Cooper. Cooper hand passes to Allen of Hawthorn and kicks them out of trouble.
Out towards the centre wing position on the outer side of the ground, and over there is Pritchard. And holding the ball is a very quick call. And down it was against Anderson, and coming up with a free kick is Grant. Grant out there on centre wing position on the outer side of the ground. Elects to kick it in towards centre half forward. Lockett's come up there. He had a palm to it, but went out to Langford. Langford trying to give the ball away, and eventually he does, and got it to Allen with handball. Allen's kick upfield. That might have been a moment. Spilled out at the last moment. Brereton diving forward, and the umpire will bounce. They'll bounce the ball at centre half forward for the Hawks. Brereton going back to the full forward spot with Frawley hot on his hammer, and the ball about 45 metres out from goal directly in front at the Sydney Road end. Down it goes at that position, and coming to do the ruck work was Robert. He did it successfully, went here, there and everywhere, eventually picked up by Hall. He was lost to run of it as it went to Grant, and the umpire once again is forced to come in and bounce the ball at pretty much the same spot. It's still out at the centre half forward area for Hawthorn as they attack towards the Sydney Road end in this the second quarter at 2 minutes into the quarter, and down it goes. Coming in as Robran. Robran got a nail, and that was about all to the ball. Down to the ground it went, fossicking out here and there. Eventually comes out to Rice, who plays it, kicks it into the man going across his the path of the kick, and that was Hudson, and he smothered it over the line to be thrown back into play. At 50 metres in, or 50 metres out from goal at the Sydney Road end, and back into play it comes. Spinning it back in there was Morris, knocked down by Robran again, rucking successfully, but it went down to Morris. Morris has put Burke well and truly under the hammer. He was ridden into the ground. The tackle was too high, and the St Kilda player will come up with a free kick on the half-back flank on the outer side of the ground, and defending at the Sydney Road end. The umpire are telling the players what was going on, why the free kick was paid, and Burke comes away and drives it up to centre wing, travelling around that outer side of the ground. High there, and knocking it down was Lawrence. It goes to and fro. Platten got his boot to the ball, and eventually so did Newport, and he kicked it whilst lying on the ground. He kicked it and went over the line out of bounds, and the free kick will be paid to Hawthorn out there at the 5-minute mark of the second quarter, and on true centre wing position. The Hawks about to go into attack from centre wing on that outer side of the ground, and booting it long upfield up towards the half forward flank. Over the packet went, hit Platten on the chest and bounced away, spilled out to anybody in particular, but nobody in particular. Eventually picked up and taken under control by Hudson. Hudson kicks in further afield up to the full forward spot, and it was Hall, I think, turning around there and popping it through for a goal, or it may have been Ayres coming in at the last moment, and that's another one to the Hawks from the boot of Anderson on the third try. So it's Hawthorn 4-5 to 4-1 on the 3W Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard.
Sam Newman at Kardinia Park.
It's quarter time. Geelong by 28 points, 7-5-47. The Crows 3-1-19.
El Martello.
I was out at the end of the stand, but Melbourne lead by 1 point at quarter time, 2-2-14 to Essendon 2-1-13.
Thank you for that. Ball back in the centre, and umpire David Howard has got it. We've gone 5 minutes. The ball is high, very high. Lawrence, good anticipation, knocked it on. Coughlin comes through for St Kilda and will be awarded the free kick in the centre of the ground. Now he's got plenty of options, and one of those is Kitsky, who leads McGuinness in the race for the ball. Kitsky hand passes to Winmar, who sprints away. He kicks a low ball in towards Newport, who is in all sorts of trouble. The ball spills out to Ben Allen. His hand pass went the wrong way and found Coughlin, who in turn hand passed to Pritchard. A comedy of errors sees Pritchard kick it long and hard to Jarman, who marks in front of Jeffrey, on the members' side wing, travelling the footy to Sydney Road. Hudson's on his own, but so's Pritchard. Pritchard runs away from Harding. Here comes the lead from Platten. And Platten has taken the mark in front of Craven at 45 metres out. There's Anderson on his own. Pick him up, says Burke. And Burke says, well, if you won't, I will. And now Anderson is covered. So Platten, little run in, kicks it high. It stays in the breeze and goes behind. Hawthorn of 4.630. St Kilda of 4.125, 6 minutes in. This is 3W football, and that is on the Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard. So Russell Morris at fullback today for St Kilda. Kicks a 60-metre kick outside 50, looking for Burke. He couldn't take the mark, but following it up, Burke hand passes it, but it's intercepted by Collins. The ball spilled clear. Here comes Lawrence. Lawrence kicks it high down there, looking for Hall. Hall is given a little shove by Morris, who hand passed to Coughlin. Over the top comes Craven. Works his way through like a little flea. Does it beautifully and kicks it down towards Coughlin, who can't take the mark. He beautifully picks up the spill. Gets it on towards the running McAdam on centre wing, outer side of the ground. He kicks it inside 50. Stewart Lowe. One-handed juggling mark to Lowe. A class play by Stewart Lowe.
On the half-forward flank on the outer side of the ground. He's kicked it long in towards the full forward spot. Lockett coming in there, trying to barge his way through. He was impeded. Went down in front of Cooper. Picked up by Hilton. Hilton's kickers are taken under control, and it was a big fellow in Lambert in Lawrence hand passing around, and away come Hawthorn from the boot of Langford up towards centre wing, still on the member side of the ground. In there, Newport, a hand pass out to Winmar. Winmar onto the left foot, kicking up towards the centre half forward spot. Punched away by Langford. It's loose now, out in the direction of Coughlin. Coughlin broke the tackle, got it out. Hilton has a quick snap for goal. Impeded there, down into Burke. Burke trying to get rid of the ball. Langford thumps it away, going in strongly there. Several players eventually came out to Coughlin, fighting hard all the time, and he's got it across to Harvey. Harvey at centre half forward, left unattended there, and Harvey will kick the distance from 35 to 40 metres out, kicking towards the Lygon Street end. The Hawks lead by 5 points from 10 scoring shots, and here's Harvey with St Kilda on 4-1, and Harvey a chance to make it 5-1. Just trotting across the line now, skipping and putting it on its way. As I said, he'd kicked the distance, but I think that's about all he's achieved. It's 1 point only from the boot of Harvey, and St Kilda go on to 4-2-26, trailing Hawthorn 4-6-30. 3W Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard, and Langford has a look around to see what he'll do with it as he comes up to the line. He does that now and kicks it slightly to the outer side of the ground. Over there he's got Cooper. Cooper leading in front of Hilton. Cooper had it. Hilton grabbed him, lost the run of it. Cooper picks it up and onto the right foot, boots it around the outer side of the ground. It's a two-out duel there, and Morris is going to beat Rodman for the ball. Initially kicked off the ground by Morris. A chance here for Pritchard barging his way through. So too is Anderson over there towards the boundary line, and the umpire said it's out of bounds to be thrown in. Thrown in on the half-forward flank for Hawthorn, outer side, at the Sydney Road end, 8.5, 9 minutes into the quarter. The ball spinning back into play. Rodman high, won the ruck duel. Coughlin barging in there again in relentless fashion. Burke overran the ball. Players tumble all over the place, and eventually it's worked out to Anderson having a shot for goal, but it's offline and through for 1 point. 1 point only at the 10-minute mark takes the Hawks on to 4-7. They lead St Kilda 4-2.
Let's go to John Murphy at VFL Park.
Scores a 20-point lead to West Coast, 4-5-29 to Richmond, 1-3-9.
And Danny Frawley kicks a skew-if looking kick, punched in by Jenke, but it went straight to Pekin. He puts Jeffrey under pressure. Pekin accepts the hand pass from Jeffrey. He then in turn puts it on the ground, draws Platten, hand passes to Rice, back to Pekin. They've mucked around, but they've got it to left half forward. Kitski, good mark in front of Tuck. So Kitski has got it, and he's got McAdam if he wants him. McAdam has made beautiful position in front of Collins, and that was very good play. Now they've got an opportunity to open up this goal at the Lygon Street end. Lockett is now leading, and here comes Lockett. He's going to set himself. Couldn't take the mark. Over the top there, Cooper for Hawthorn. They'll try and get it going, but pinching it is Ray Jenke. He kicks a wobbly-looking kick out towards Lowe, and Lowe marks it. Lowe puts a high ball back in towards the centre scoring zone. 2-on-1 Lawrence. Here comes Lockett. Play on, says the umpire. Plenty of hearts in there doing plenty of work. Winmar has kicked a magnificent Premier Holidays goal of the day. He is a will of the West, and 4 marks to Lockett for battling it out, and St Kilda are doing well. They now burst to the lead of 1 point, 32 points, plays 31. 5-2-32 Saints. Hawthorn 4-7-31. Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard, and let's get a score from Gary Bryce as North hit a purple patch.
North are 23 points in front. They're 7-8-50 to Collingwood 4-3-27.
Well, back here it's 5-2 to 4-7 on the throw over to Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard at the 11-minute mark of the quarter. Back into play, and it's bounced, and Hudson comes through the pack with the ball, lost it on the way through with Coghlan trying to flossing it out. Eventually it came out. A chance for a kick off the ground there by Madigan. He got it to Platten, but it's intercepted by Winmar, who pumps a hand pass to Jeffrey onto the right foot, and he's kicked out of the forward line, and Kitski is there. Kitski's taken the mark, and there wouldn't be many better players afield than Kitski if you summarise his performance over the first 40 minutes of play. Kitski, a valuable player in this particular game, and he's 45 metres out and kicking up towards the scoreboard end or the Lygon Street end. The angle is about 45 degrees as he looks at it from the members' side of the ground. 11 minutes have been played in the quarter, and Kitski puts it on its way. It's not going to swing enough, I don't think, and it may not be touched through yet. It isn't. It is eventually. It was pumped up against the goal post, hit the goal post, and St Kilda go on to 5-3-33, leading Hawthorn 4-7-31 on the throw W Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard. Now Langford, anxious to get the ball back into play, has a look at what's going on upfield. He had a little lead or two, one of them from Jenke, which he chose to ignore, and kicked over to the outer side of the ground. Collins doing a bit of pushing and shoving there. Yes, and we found out the umpire saw it, and the free kick will go to the player he pushed, and that's Coghlan. Actually, Collins took the mark in the first instance. Now the advantage rule is played, or call to play on. Coghlan kicks it upfield. Lockett wrestling there with Langford. Neither one wins it. It's down to Hilton, and his kick is astray. Had the chance to make a name for himself in his first game, the blonde. But it's 1 point only, and Hawthorn on 4-7-31 remain on that figure. St Kilda go on to 5-4-34.
And this is 3AW football, and Langford's got the ball at the Lygon Street end. Blustery, overcast conditions at Carlton. There is a free kick given down to Andrew Collins, and the free kick will be given away by Frank Coghlan. So a little bit of stupid play there by Frank Coghlan as Collins is outside 50 now from that advantage free kick. He's got Hall in his sights from behind Grant, but Hall has taken a class mark with one hand and maintained possession of the footy. Brereton now at full forward for Hawthorn. Running, leading. Here he comes again, pointing. Hall puts it into the area of full forward. Up high was Brereton. Punched away there by Brereton again. Went to Jeffrey, who's besieged. And it's picked up by Pritchard. And he's kicked the football behind. Hawthorn of 4-8-32. St Kilda of 5-4-34. 14 minutes in. Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard. Al Martello at Windy Hill, your score.
Essendon by 1 point, 2-3-15. Melbourne 2-2-14.
Quick one from Gary Bryce.
North by 23 points, 7-8-50. Collingwood 4-3-27.
Frawley kicks it outside 50 and finds Morris, who's playing a good game today for his new side against his old one. He's got a lead from McAdam. Here comes Hilton, and Hilton spills in front of the mark and accepts the football, and that was a very, very good mark taken in front of Cooper. So Hilton of St Kilda kicks it inside 50. Stuart Lowe has taken another perler. He was up high over Lawrence and also Madigan, and he kicks it high down towards Lockett. He's in front of Langford. Good defensive tactics, and Craven has picked the footy up. And there's a free kick. Ron Barassi, tell our listeners about why that free kick came about to Craven.
Well, as Craven was kicking the ball, he was scruffed around the neck, tackled around the neck. That's illegal. It's a free kick, and that's what's going to happen, and it's right on the boundary line.
So Craven, pint-sized little rover for St Kilda, is about 30 metres from goal. He's kicked a banana kick behind. St Kilda of 5-5-35, Hawthorn 4-8-32, 15 in. Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard.
Ball about to be kicked back into play. Langford, who's doing pretty well on Lockett, really. Held him except for an early break, and now Langford comes up to the line, kicks it over to the outer side of the ground. They mass there. Ayres in one position, knocked away by Coghlan. Platten pumps it further upfield. A chance there for the Hawks, and Platten follows up and picks it up, drives it across towards centre half forward, looking for Hall. Hall tried to keep it into play, but Jeffrey, coming across his path, did well to knock it away from him over towards the boundary line, and eventually spills out of bounds. Pretty good defence by Jeffrey. He's a bit unlucky. It wouldn't bounce for him on the long run through, but he thwarted the attempt to attack there. It's out of bounds in the forward pocket on the members' side of the ground at the Sydney Road end. That's the Hawks attacking end, and the ball coming back into play now. In the front berth is Rodburn. Nobody got the knock down there. It went over the head of the pack down to Hudson. Hudson trying to Fossick it out. Lost it, went to Ayres. Ayres a quick snap, and it may be a chance. It's a goal to Ayres, and that was a pretty good snap. It may not be the Prima Holiday goal of the day, that's for sure, but it was an excellent goal, a nice piece of opportunism, and the Hawks go on to 5-8, leading the Saints 5-5.
Midway through the second term, let's go to Graham Bond for the story on paper.
Well, that was Ayres' first kick for the quarter, but he's already had 9 possessions for the game, 5 kicks and 4 hand passes, and doing well for the Hawks this quarter. Platten with 5 possessions to date.
Back in the centre at 16 minutes into the second quarter, and it's anybody's game at this stage of the journey, with the difference only a matter of 3 points on the 3W scoreboard. Back in at the bounce that was knocked away belatedly there by Harding, picked up by Allen running through the centre, kicked in the nick of time as he's slung aside by Burke, but it'll be Jeffrey to come in. He's spasmodic, Jeffrey. He's done some pretty good things, and he's taken the mark and kicked it across to Burke running wild on the outer side. Burke has kicked it in towards the forward pocket. McAdam running into the area, but it's going to be touched over the line to be thrown back into play. Only about 15 metres around from the goal at the Lygon Street end. The attacking end for St Kilda, and at 17 minutes into the quarter, a ball about to be thrown back into play. The crowd has thickened up a little bit since the start of play. Quite dense there over in front of the scoreboard. The ball spinning back into play. Lawrence knocked it down. It'll be taken away by the Hawks, and kicking up there is Jarman upfield, up towards Hudson. Hudson knocked it away, knocked it over towards Ayres. Ayres tried to get it back to Jarman. Coming through was Hudson, kicking it off the ground, or trying to. The umpires elected to play the free kick, and the free kick will go to Hawthorn, to St Kilda in the person of Coghlan. Coghlan in the centre of the ground, looking for leads. He's kicked upfield. Lockett out in front. He's too far out, I think. It was knocked away down by Langford over towards Winmar, running free and wild. He was grabbed. The crowd wanted a free kick, but it's play on it, picked up by McAdam. McAdam's kick is right across the face of goal and out of bounds on the full, and the free kick will be taken there by Langford. In the back pocket on the outer side, just in front of the scoreboard at the Lygon Street end, 18 minutes in, or 17 and a half minutes in. Langford calling somebody up, but nobody comes up. Langford having a look upfield again. 5-8 to 5-5 on the 3W Dan Murphy scoreboard, as the boot by Langford up towards, that's a good kick. It's about 65 metres upfield, knocked away by Pritchard. Down to the ground it goes, kicked off the ground there over on that outer side by Madigan. Down to the ground in the centre of the ground, kicked off the ground again by Pritchard coming upfield, and out ricochets out to Platten. He beats the tackle by Winmar and kicks it upfield over towards the half forward line on the member side of the ground, and Rice gains control.
Trying to look for Pekin. Pekin does it beautifully. Puts Newport under pressure, and he doesn't let him down. Here comes St Kilda. Coghlan marks in front of Lawrence. Runs around. Here comes St Kilda now. Where's Lockett? He's there. Crashes his way through on the draw. Harvey. He's got enough to bring it back. Is there anyone at home? Yes, there is, but it was for Hawthorn. It was McGuinness who showed great courage. Knocked it on. Picked it up by Langford. He in turn hand passes to Lawrence, and Hawthorn are away with a hand pass further afield to Cooper. Cooper now a low trajectory kick. He's got the lead of Hall. Right on his hammer there was Grant, but Pritchard came through. Here comes Brereton. He's out in front of Frawley. It wouldn't sit for him, and very close is the boundary line. In fact, it's still in, and Rice picks it up and kicks it outside 50. Beautiful sprawling mark in the hands of Morris of St Kilda.
On the outer side of the ground, on the half-back flank, and Morris drives the ball long over towards centre wing, and beyond that area over towards the boundary line it goes, trying to knock it back into play, and succeeding was low. He succeeded in knocking it back, but the ball was out of play.
Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
Geelong a 7-5-47, Adelaide a 4-4-28.
El Martello, Windy Hill.
Melbourne 3-4-22, Essendon 2-3-15.
Ball spinning back into play now on centre wing position. In there is Lawrence and Harding. I don't think anybody attempted to swipe it away. It just fell to the ground, and the umpire's going to come in and ball up.
Gary Bryce, MCG.
Collingwood kick another one, so it's North by 9 points. North is 7-8-50, Collingwood 6-5-41.
Quick one from John Murphy.
West Coast lead by 14 points, 5-5-35. Richmond 3-3-21.
And here at Princess Park, it's Hawthorn by 3 points as a bounce is affected on the outer side of the ground, and the free kick is going to go to Hawthorn and be taken by the big fellow in Lawrence over there on centre wing on the outer side of the ground. coming around now, getting around the player on his mark. He gets onto the left foot, drives it upfield up towards Platten. Platten out manoeuvres Craven, pumps it back into play. A chance for Collins coming upfield. He scooped it out in front of him, but it's over the line, out of bounds, to be thrown in yet again. About 55 metres out from goal at the Sydney Road end. On the outer side, it's in Hawthorn's attacking zone. On their half-forward flank, it spills back into play. In there, Rodman, Morris beat him again. When I say again, they've had a couple of ruck duels, and it's been Morris to win them. And the Saints take it away with Burke kicking around that outer side of the ground. It bounces free over on the practice wicket area on the half-forward flank, and the Saints work it upfield to Lowe. He had an uppercut and a swipe at it, and it finally came down. McAdam out to Jeffrey onto the left foot. Now he decided to hand pass to Lockett. He's out at centre half-forward. 3 Hawks were after him. They smothered it, and they work it away with beautiful teamwork. Allen kicking up towards the centre of the ground. Hall had it and hand pass back to Allen. Allen kicking upfield, up to centre half-forward, and Rodman takes the mark. It happened so quickly I didn't have time to pay tribute to Langford, who did well up there along with his teammates. A hand pass from Rodman out to Pritchard, and the kick was offline for 1 point. Ooh, that went up and down the ground pretty quickly. It's 5-9 the Hawks. 14 scoring shots have yielded 5-9 to St Kilda, 5-5 on the 3W Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard.
And let's wait now for Frawley. Hoists up his socks, has a little bit of a look, a scratch, and a nervous one, and out he comes and kicks a long-looking kick outside 50. High Harding couldn't take it. The spiller's on to Lawrence, lopes along, can't take it. But coming through nicely, Pekin kicks a worm burner down towards the lead of Hilton. And the boundary line is too close. Let's go back to Windy Hill. Big fellow Al Martello.
Melbourne by 7 points, 3-4-22, Essendon 2-3-15.
Ball now coming back into play by the boundary umpire as he just throws it beautifully. Knocked out by Lawrence. He scooped it on as well. McAdams over the top of the ball. Burrows through. Picked up there by Harding. Hand passes towards Winmar. Winmar's under pressure from Allen. He's held. The umpire said you're in possession. Play on. Collins burst his way through. He's got a lead further afield from Hudson. Hudson will allow player go in, and that was Rice. He thumped it on, and here comes Frawley. Frawley for St Kilda's got a lead out there from Nathan Burke. Nathan Burke will make beautiful ground. Take it on the half volley. Morris of St Kilda says take a bounce, and he does just that. Kicks it over the head of Lawrence inside towards 50. McAdam. And McAdam marks in front of Tuck. Right half forward at the Lygon Street end. He's got the breeze in his face, and here comes Lockett. And Lockett spills in and takes the mark. Unbeatable when he does that, and there's nothing they can do to stop it, Barassi.
No, excellent play by St Kilda. In fact, the standard of this game right through from almost every aspect has been very, very good so far. If both sides can keep this up for the whole of the game, we'll have witnessed a very, very excellent game of football.
So Hudson is off for Hawthorn, replaced by Jamie Morrissey. That is 24.5 minutes. And here is Lockett, 45-degree angle, 40 metres out from goal. Lygon Street end, and it's a goal. Magnificent play by Lockett. 6 goals, 5 St Kilda, 41. Hawthorn of 5-9, 39. So the Saints edge by 2. Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard.
Well, that started right from the back pocket with Danny Frawley, who kicked right across goal to Grant there. A long kick, was very, very safe. Must have been a 50-metre kick. And Grant in turn has picked out McAdam. McAdam is being watched by Tuck, and that's an amazing thing to see, one of the speeches of the game.
Coming up the 24-minute mark of the quarter, and it's going to be Harding thrashing it out up towards centre half forward. In there was Tuck. McAdam too skillful for him, kicked up towards the half forward line. Allen in there, so too is Hilton. Hilton trying to get the ball away. He won't get it out of there, and the umpire will bounce. Bouncing between centre half forward and full forward, nearer to centre half forward, and slightly favouring the outer side of the ground. It's 6-5 to 5-9 on the 3W scoreboard. 3W Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard, with St Kilda leading at the bounce, and shoving him his opponent aside was Lawrence, but it went down to Kitsky. Kitsky got it out over there to Rice. Rice gets it out to Winmar. Winmar kicking in towards Hilton, coming upfield. He's out on the half forward line, was forced to hand pass hurriedly. Tuck knocked it away out to Allen. Allen hand pass to Tuck, and Tuck brings it around the member side of the ground up towards centre wing position, where it bounced beautifully for Anderson. Anderson driving the ball upfield, up to a lead upfield by Morrissey. He tried to kick it off the ground. He succeeded in doing that, but it trickled over the line to be thrown in. About 55 metres around on the members' side of the Sydney Road end. The ball about to be thrown back into play as we approach the time-on period of the second quarter, and it's been even money, each of 2 all the way through. The ball coming back into play. Anyone in there? Morris got a tap and followed up, picked it up and kicked it back into the centre of the ground. Harding lumbering in front of his opponent there. They're both both blundering, but Harding doing it the better, gets onto the right foot, kicks it upfield, and Hilton with arms outstretched took a mark, a safe mark, on the half-forward line. He's around about centre half-forward. Lockett was up, but he was too quick for Hilton, and Coghlan was instructing Hilton to get on with it. Now he's coming in to take his kick, and he's elected to boot long. Lockett will come out, and so will Lowe. The defence combined to knock it away. Tuck brushes to side. That's an unusual event. Down on the ground, Lowe, several players, flattened, and it's holding the ball. Yes, Ron?
No, it's definitely very unfair against Lowe then. He wasn't penalised. Shouldn't have been penalised then.
Well, there's a 50-metre penalty as well now, so they come that far upfield, the Hawks, up to a position better than centre half-back. In fact, between centre half-back and the centre of the ground, and the ball now booted long. Up there by the big fellow in Madigan, kicking it up towards the centre half-forward spot, and there's another free kick. The umpire this time playing it the other way. One wonders. The ball now, it's going to be a free kick to St Kilda, and it'll be taken up there on the half-back line by Frawley. He kicks out to Harding, and Harding marks at centre wing. On the member side of the ground, and into the time-on period, he's burst away, and he boots it over towards the centre half-forward spot. Should have been a mark to Allen. He dropped the easiest to mark. Players tagging each other, nobody able to clear the ball. Umpire in close attendance. Harvey shrugs a tackle away. Hand passed straight to Ayres, who must have said thank you, and he's kicked it up to centre wing, where Winmar, loping along in typical style, knocked it away. Hot on his hammer was Brereton, but it beat all of them over the line to be thrown in between centre wing and half-forward flank member side Sydney Road end. The end to which Hawthorn are kicking in this quarter, which is rapidly running out of time. The ball about to be thrown back into play at the 26.5-minute mark, coming up to 27 minutes. Robin in there of the first touch, the second touch and the third touch, but Harvey came out and got under control to give it to Rice with handball. Rice upfield to Coghlan. He's had tons of possessions, this fellow. We'll find out at half-time. Coghlan now hand passing to Newport. Newport straight down the eye, diddle up towards centre half-forward. McAdam up before acceptance is on the back of Tuck, and Tuck breaks a free kick, and he comes away now. Doesn't waste any time, just father time. Drives it across to the member side of the ground, looking for another veteran in Ayres. Ayres has it under control. Kicks before Rice can come up. Kicks it up towards the half-forward line on the member side of the ground, and it bounces towards Morrissey. Morrissey will be held. Morrissey being held. Play on as the call, or the advantage rule paid. The hand pass came out to Anderson. Spills in clear in the goal square. Kicked off the ground by Brereton and through for 1 point at the 27-minute mark. 5-10 Hawthorn now. 5-10-40. Trailing St Kilda 6-5-41.
Let's get a score from Gary Bryce. Collingwood on the way back.
Collingwood are in front by 3 points. 8-5-53 North, 7-8-50.
So Frawley, he is at the Robert Heatley or Sydney Road end of the ground and kicks a long bomb outside 50, looking for Harding. The ball spills down to Ben Allen, weaves his way through, gets a short kick to Pritchard. Pritchard kicks it down towards Brereton. He's boxing for the free kick, and it's over the boundary line and out of bounds. At Windy Hill, Big Al Marcello.
Melbourne by 10 points, 4-4-28 to Essendon 2-6-18.
And the ball now, left forward pocket for Hawthorn. Ball back into play, knocked out by Robran. Ends up with Harvey of St Kilda. Kicks a low ball out towards the loping Harding, and over the boundary line and out of bounds it goes. And let's go to John Murphy at VFL Park.
West Coast lead by 18 points, 7-5-47. Sumage 4 goals to Richmond 4-5-29.
Left half forward flank with Hawthorn to the Sydney Road end, knocked out by Harding, went towards Craven. He flicked it back in looking for Newport, but Ayres is good and he grabbed it beautifully. He kicks it in towards the leap of Hudson. He couldn't take it, and Brereton as well. Hall sees the ball go over for Hawthorn, and good pressure there by David Grant. Saw it safely out of play. It's 52 3/4 metres out from the Hawthorn goal. Dull and bleary, but not the game is gloomy. The game is great. Throw the blanket over 20 players as Ayres gets it on the left foot to Morrissey, who gave Pekin the flick. And Morrissey has taken the mark in the shadows of half-time here, and as an opportunity to put Hawthorn, if not on equal pegging, 5 points in front. Morrissey 30 metres out. Goal to Morrissey. 5-point advantage to Hawthorn on the Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard. 6 goals, 10-46 Hawthorn. St Kilda 6-5-41. Here's Ron Barassi.
Well, Ayres is there again. He's having a great half so far. Got the ball many times, and whenever he kicks, I mean, that wasn't really a pass. Probably didn't have time to set up a pass then, but he kicks forward, and the ball's always put into a position where it's usually pretty good for his teammate. There was put in front of Morrissey, who's replaced Hudson.
Played half an hour in the quarter, and down it goes in the middle of the ground and knocked away very cleverly by St Kilda's Harding. That came back. Played half an hour and 12 seconds. And at half-time, after a half of endeavour, with a bit of frisky business going on out there in the middle, and Frawley and Brereton engaged in a battle of words, and they're being joined by several players. We'll tell you the scoreboard shows that Hawthorn 6-10 leads St Kilda 6-5 on the 3W Dan Murphy Sellers scoreboard, and the players eventually break up and trudge away to their respective rooms.
And Dermy Brereton having plenty to say to Frawley. Rice wants to get on the act. You'd reckon you'd fair dinkum, Dermy, you would reckon you would wake up. And I speak my mind. I am a great fan of that man, but he does nothing to stop himself going in the book. He just antagonises the umpire, and I think he needs a talking to. Schoolboy stuff. So St Kilda trail by 5. They're 6-5-41. Hawthorn are 6-10-46. And the boos are for the umpires as they are escorted from the ground, with St Kilda trailing by 5 points. St Kilda's 6 goals have been kicked by Lowe and Winmar. Lockett has kicked 3, and the other one has been kicked by Newport. So for Hawthorn, goals to Brereton, Hall, Jarman, Anderson, Ayres and Morrissey. Sam Newman at Cardinia Park, your score.
We're still playing in the second quarter, and Geelong lead by 26 points. Brownless has kicked 4 goals. They're 10-7-67. The Crows 6-5-41.
Make that 2 goals to Winmar, none to Newport. Let's go to Al Martello at Windy Hill.
24-minute mark, and Melbourne are leading by 16 points, 5-4-34 to Essendon 2-6-18.
Gary Bryce, MCG.
It's Collingwood wire point at the 29-minute mark. Collingwood 8-5-53, North 7-10-52.
Good quarter by Collingwood. John Murphy at VFL Park.
West Coast lead by 18 points, 8-5-53. Sumich has kicked 5 goals to Richmond 5-5-35.
This is 3AW football. I'm at Princes Park. Hawthorn lead 5 points, 6-10-46 Hawks. St Kilda 6-5-41. Checks them around the grounds. Cardinia Park, Sam Newman.
We're still playing. Geelong lead by 20 points. They're 10-7-67. The Crows 7-5-47.
Big Al at Windy Hill.
27-minute mark, and Melbourne lead by 16 points, 5-4-34. Essendon 2-6-18.
The Barrel at MCG.
33-minute mark. North Melbourne 2 goals in front, 9-11-65. Collingwood 8-5-53.
John Murphy, VFL Park.
27-minute mark, and West Coast lead by 19 points, 8-6-54 to Richmond 5-5-35.
Hawthorn lead by 5 here. Here's Bill with better players both sides.
For Hawthorn, Collins, Ayres, Anderson, Allen, Langford, Platten, Robran at times, and Pritchard and Hall in the same category. For St Kilda, Coghlan, Rice, Frawley, Burke, Harvey, Winmar, Morris, Kitsky and Lowe.
On 3AW, here's Graham Bond.
In the second quarter, St Kilda received 8 free kicks and Hawthorn 6. Out of the centre, St Kilda won 5-0 in that quarter, where the Hawks won 6-2 in the first quarter. In the second quarter, Coghlan had 6 kicks and 2 hand passes. McAdam and Morris had 5 kicks apiece, and Lowe took 3 marks and had 3 kicks. Pekin gave 5 hand passes. For the Hawks, Allen had 7 kicks, Platten 6, Ayres 5, and Pritchard picked up 6 kicks around the ground. Platten also had 3 handball in that quarter.
Here's Ron Barassi with his thoughts. Hawthorn 6-10-46 and Kilda 6-5-41.
Well, it's a pretty good, I was going to say stoush, but it hasn't really got to the fisticuff stage. In fact, there's been no viciousness really to speak of in the game, but it's very intensely fought game with the lead changing 6 times. And I think the biggest lead to the date in the hour's play so far has been a maximum of 8 points. St Kilda's deficit of 5 points has been, I think, deserved. I think Hawthorn have just been the shade better. They handle the ball just a little bit more cleanly, and their score may have been a little bit better on the scoreboard had they kicked more accurately. And in that quarter, under intense pressure, St Kilda also had a few points put on the scoreboard to their name for ordinary kicking. But interesting, Hawthorn have not had success up forward of any note. In fact, it's a fairly low-scoring game when you consider the talent that I mentioned beforehand for the game. on the forward line for both sides. Lockett has been kept relatively quiet. He's got 3 goals, so that's still 6 for the match if he keeps up that rate. So it shows you the sort of job that Langford are doing, because most of football concedes that if Lockett is kept to 7, 8 or 9, it hasn't been a bad sort of day. So Langford's done pretty well. Up the other end, Hawthorn have not had success from anyone's person. They're relying upon teamwork. In fact, that's applying all over the ground, that each of the players concerned are doing their utmost when the ball's around them, and it's a sort of a stop-start game in that style, as in no one's dominating the game. There hasn't been outstanding players. There hasn't been outstanding lines, outstanding areas of a team where you can say they're winning clearly. That's obviously also showing on the scoreboard. But Hawthorn did try a merry-go-round type of full forward, particularly in the first quarter. Hudson was there at times, so was Brereton, so was Hall. Some had success. Brereton scored Hawthorn's first goal, but I think he's been pretty quiet overall. And Hall was very active in the first quarter. He has since been put under control. Lots of drive midfield has been given by McCadden, who is having an interesting duel on Tuck. The matchups have also been interesting. Robin's been taken by Morris. Morris has done pretty well. Grant's been on Hall. Jenke been on Winmar. That's been a good tussle. Pekin, I thought, has given terrific value on the back line for St Kilda against Hudson, and Hudson was taken off 3/4 of the way through that second quarter with Pekin then holding onto Morrissey. So he's got quite a few stars to look after today. But it's been a terrific game, and if we keep up this sort of style of game and the excitement with each kick and mark, it's going to be put down as one of the very, very good games of the year. Full marks to both sides so far, with Hawthorn deserving their small lead.
And we do thank Hawthorn for the lovely afternoon tea to the press area. Much appreciated, so thank you for that. Let's check some around the ground scores. Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
Well, quite remarkable. Brownless has kicked 6 goals, 5 in this quarter, and Hughes is still playing on him. 13-7-85. They lead by 38 points. The Crows 7-5-47.
Windy Hill and Big Al Martello.
Half-time, and Melbourne lead by 16 points. 6-4-40, Essendon 3-6-24.
And Gary Bryce.
Half-time here, a 12-point lead to North Melbourne. A fantastic game. North are 9-11-65. Collingwood are 8-5-53.
Let's go to Gary Bryce.
That's who it was.
Let's go to John Murphy. Thanks, mate.
Half-time and a 25-point lead to West Coast, 9-6-60 to Richmond, 5-5-35. And big trouble for the West Coast. Peter Simic, a hamstring injury, and gone off the ground after kicking 5 goals.
Gee, what a shame. Thank you for that, gentlemen. So we'll be going after the break and news headlines to Sam Newman for his half-time summary, and then around the grounds in order. Al Martello, Gary Bryce, John Murphy. This is 3AW Football. Thank you very much. And they have now gone out to 11 points. What a beauty for Hawk fans. 7-10-52 and St Kilda 6-5-41. Synovus Vitamins job there, Ron.
Well, it was a good example of a typical Hawthorn style of play with Platten. Just had it in his hands a split second. That's where they're very experienced. They don't, when there's pressured conditions around with lots of players coming in at them, they don't hold the ball for long. They flip it on, they knock it on, they tap it on.
And umpire Mitchell puts the ball down again. Knocked out by Lawrence again. Went to Rice. Dispossessed by Platten, forcing his way through. Kicked off the ground by Anderson. It went to Morris. A high ball goes out towards the leap of Nathan Burke. Has taken a perler in front of Pritchard. So a very good mark running the opposite direction of the flight of the trajectory of the ball. He's got a short to Newport, who was off. And I knew it. Chris Mitchell knew it, but he thought, no, I better let him get away with it. And Newport kicks it inside 50. Here comes Stuart Lowe, and Langford has taken a sensational mark. What an absolute ball terror. Oh, he was up and he stopped, and it was slow motion, and he took a 50, and he's going to take 50 with it. What a magnificent mark by Langford. That was straight out of the copybook, Ron. You used to take 10 of those a game.
At least, though, and also it's really rubbing in, adding 50 metres to it.
Well, it's Langford in the middle of the ground after taking his spectacular mark and kicking it up towards centre half forward. Was knocked away by Robber and gathered in by Newport. Newport kicks wide over towards Winmar outer side. Winmar tried to rake it in one hand and couldn't. Tuck coming in to clean up, and Tuck knocks it over towards the centre wing position. Hotly pressed there by McAdam, but Tuck's experience enables him to gather it in. Herb's on by the crowd. He's got it to Anderson. Anderson onto the right foot, across towards centre half forward. Jarman ran into the mark. It's knocked away down to the ground by Jeffrey. Peeking in there trying to tidy up, and it's Brereton circling, hooking it back towards the goal front, but it's going to be taken under control, marked by Burke. It might have been paid out of ground, but I think out of bounds. I think it was Burke coming in to take the mark. It's 7-10 to 6-5 on the 3W scoreboard, 3W St Overs Vitamin scoreboard, and in point of fact, we'll see Rice come out of the back pocket and kick it upfield. The umpire sent him back at 3 minutes into the quarter, and coming away from it now and booting it wide out to the outer side. Kitski's got the front berth, started the game like a bomb. It's hit the ground, a chance there to get it out from Jenke to Ayres. Ayres dummies at centre half forward and let fly with a long kick. It's going to be just offline, and Pekin helps it through for 1 point. So the Hawks on to 7-11. 7-11-53 leads St Kilda 6-5-41. 3W St Overs Vitamin scoreboard, and we've played 3.5 to 4 minutes in. Frawley wearing number 50 works the ball out, and Rice gets it under control to top it upfield up towards the half forward line. The desperate Hawks thump it over the line to be thrown in on the member side of the ground, about 70 metres out from goal at the scoreboard end. The ball back into play with the score 7-11 to 6-5, and the rucks mess on the half forward flank for Hawthorn on the member side of the ground as the ball spins back into play. Platten at the base of the pack sees the ruckman contest the issue in the front berth. Robin, but Morris won it, I fancy. Anderson threaded his way through the pack with the ball, kicked it up towards centre half forward, just wider there, and Jeffrey's marked in front of Jarman. Jeffrey's played a useful game on the half back flank now on the member side of the ground, brings the ball around up towards centre wing position. Kitski saw the flight of the ball better than his opponent, and the mark is taken by Kitski. How many marks, Graham?
Mark number 6 there for Kitski.
Kitski kicks it up towards the half-forward line on the member side of the ground, and steadying there to take the mark for Hawthorn. On that is on the half-forward flank is McGuinness, or half-back flank, onto the left foot, and he's booted around a centre wing position. Brereton coming up there, pushed and shoved all over the place. Brereton's got it under control temporarily. Tackled quickly. The ball came out direction to Anderson. Anderson saw it spill out to Ayres. Ayres onto the right foot, has kicked it around the member side. They wrestle up there. Oh, coming at the back was Jeffries to take a lovely mark. A hand pass across to Coglan wasn't good. Coglan ridden into the ground by Jarman, chipping across as Brereton, a hand pass out to Ayres at centre wing on the member side. Ayres gets a hand pass out, knocked ahead by Lawrence over towards Brereton. The ball spilled out to the ground. Pekin picks up, hand passes to Newport, and thence to Coglan, bouncing once across to Harvey. Harvey at our forward flank. Harvey chips it into Lockett, and that completed a complete passage of play, if you could put it that way. Lockett's 35 metres out on an angle of maybe 45 degrees, if that, and Lockett will surely kick the difference at the distance. Whether he achieves the accuracy is yet to be seen, but he's got to have a fair chance of kicking the goal at the Sydney Road end of the ground. They need the goal. St Kilda on 6-5. They're 12 points away from the Hawks on 7-11 on the 3W St Overs Vitamin scoreboard, and the Langford duel has been a good one throughout the day. Lockett comes in now, puts it on its way, and I don't know too much about this one. I think it might be a point only, so a chance squandered there. Saints go on to 6-6. They trail the Hawks 7-11.
Go to Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
No, it's still half-time here, and Geelong have a 38-point lead at that time.
And Langford kicks the ball to himself. He'll take it out and run around from 30 metres, kick it outside 50, looking for Nugent, and finds that player who marks in front of Coglan. So Nugent on the left boot has got a lead from Tony Hall. Grant is forward. St Kilda throws himself on the ball, and Burke taps it out. Went to Nugent, back to Burke, stacks on the mill, and the umpire will surely bounce as I speak. El Martello at Windy Hill.
Players just coming out on the ground.
Gary Bryce at the MCG.
Still a 12-point lead to North Melbourne. They're 9-11-65. Collingwood 8-5-53.
Umpire Chris Mitchell. CUB sign. Bang goes the football. Knocked out by Kitski. Nugent kicks it down towards left half forward for Hawthorn. Here comes Platten. Craven on his ginger there. It came very close to the boundary line. Craven clips it out nicely to Newport, who runs away. And beautiful smother off the boot. Sees the ball go over the boundary line and out of bounds, and that was class play by Nugent. the boy from Mentone Grammar, who has been in 3 passages of play in 6 minutes, and that's very good, and he's kicked the goal. Ball back into play. Centre wing more than half forward, knocked out by Morris. Here comes Rice and Nugent again. Hand passes it on, looking for Ayres. Winmar's claimed. He's gone A over T, and it comes out to Ayres. Ayres picks it up and kicks it high. Morrissey has got to go, but so does Frawley. And Frawley, wearing number 50 Guernsey, was interfered with there by Brereton. And Brereton lucky not to get 50 metres there. So Frawley, right half back flank. He's at the Lygon Street end, kicks it outside 50. It swirls in the breeze. Up high there is Lowe. Kitsky as well. Coming down towards Coghlan, who taps it onto Newport. Newport kicks a worm burner down towards Harvey. Harvey in turn hand passes it out to Morris for St Kilda. The Saints away for the lead down there. Here comes Lowe. He'll need some assistance from Smith. And the ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds.
It's on the half-forward line for St Kilda on the member side of the ground at the Sydney Road end, and the score is 7-11 to 6-6. Hawthorn leading on the Threadneedle St Overs Vitamin scoreboard. The umpire spins it back into play. Ruckman gather there in the front berth. Kitsky, Lawrence got it and whacked it away up towards Nugent, kicking it off the ground. Coming up towards centre wing position now. Over the top of the ball there was Grant. Whisked out there to Nugent very cleverly. Nugent, a left footer, will fancy himself here. Going around the member side of the ground. Punching away was Frawley. Down towards Newport coming up. He ran into a battering ram there in Brereton. Down he went, and the ball spills out over towards the boundary line. Picked up by Anderson. Anderson to Nugent was good. Had to avoid a tackle by his own player. Nugent to Pritchard. Pritchard in the forward pocket. Up towards the full forward. Spotted Hall down to the ground in front of goal. Craven tried to kick it off the ground. Morrissey did that. Booted it off the ground, but nobody controlled it. Morrissey picks up and snaps in 1 point. 1 point only. I didn't think anyone would get up after Brereton ran through there. 7-12 it is. 7-12 to 6-6. And the Hawks hold a 2-goal advantage at 9 minutes into the third quarter at Princes Park. Grant will be the player to kick it back into play. It's thrills and spills here at Princes Park. Grant has handed it back to Morris, who's played a pretty fair sort of a game against his previous club. Morris up to the line and delivers the ball out over towards the outer side of the ground. What's he got over there? He's looking for Rice, but off the hands of Ayres. It went tumbling over the line to be thrown back into play. On the half-forward flank for Hawthorn on the outer side of the ground at Princes Park, and down at the Lygon Street end. The clock ticks up to the 10-minute mark, and the ball spins back into play. High there, and knocking it down was Morris. Down to the ground it went to Ayres. Ayres picked up, pumped the hand pass to Platten, ever elusive. Platten turns and boots it high in towards the goal front. Morrissey there, but a good mark by Pekin. Good steadying mark by Pekin to hand pass across to Jeffrey. Jeffrey takes the traffic around the outer side of the ground over towards Ray Jenke, but it spilled away from all players and went over the line to be thrown back into play on that outer side, near enough to centre wing. Between centre wing and half-forward flank on the outer side, nearer centre wing. The ball about to be flipped back into play. 7-12 to 6-6. The Hawks leading at the 10-minute mark, 10.5-minute mark. Umpire gets it back into play in there. Kitsky won it, knocked it down, went anywhere. Nobody able to control it yet. Craven tried to, couldn't. Coghlan does, picks it up in skillful fashion onto the left foot. He delivers it up towards the half-forward line. Harvey jostled aside by Allen. Allen did it well to hand pass. Mark and hand pass to Tuck. Tuck into the centre of the ground to Anderson. Anderson marked, hand pass to Nugent. A bad hand pass put Nugent under pressure. Good play by Smith there. It rebounds out to Langford. Langford in trouble. Hand passes to Allen, to Jenke quickly, kicking it up towards the half-forward line. Brereton had a touch of the ball, knocked it to the ground. He's going to be pressed there by Morris, and Morris does it beautifully to take the ball around the member's side of the ground. It bounces inside the line. Over there is Tuck, and the ball throws over the line out of bounds to be thrown in at the 11.5-minute mark, with the Hawks leading 7-12 to 6-6.
Gary Bryce at the MCG.
North Melbourne 10-12, 72 leading. Collingwood 8-5, 53.
Ball out of play, centre wing, members side. Kitsky versus Lawrence. Lawrence got it down to Pritchard, tapped it on nicely to Anderson. Beautiful anticipation by Nathan Burke. Kicks it a Lowe, and Lowe has marked in front of Madigan on the 50-metre line, literally the 50-5-0. And here is Stuart Lowe. He lopes in and kicks a long ball. This has gone a long way. Magnificent goal by Lowe. Take a Prima Holiday candidature. Magnificent goal by Lowe. I thought the distance was behind him. And for his second, if ever you would lift aside, Stewie Lowe, you've done it. 7-6-48 St Kilda. Hawthorn 7-12-54. A ball terror, Ron.
Yeah, terrific play by Grant there, but this last passage of play, I think it's been about 10 minutes before the last goal. In that intervening 10 minutes has been some fantastic football. Very, very high standard.
We've got a great game here. Umpire Chris Mitchell knocked out by Kitsky through the arms of Jenke. Here comes Winmar, taps it on. Nathan Burke will go. He'll pick it up and run away. He's a star. He's kicked it high to Lockett. He's out of position, and Langford takes a class mark in defence for Hawthorn. And Lockett has booted 3, but Langford's played beautifully. He kicks it outside 50, looking for Pritchard. Pritchard allows Platten to take the mark on the draw over the top. Collins hand pass to Jenke. Jenke will run around and kick a long ball down towards Brereton and Frawley. Brereton nearly a one-handed mark. Jeffrey, you'll have to go. He does. Jeffrey's brilliant today and kicks it out looking for Burke. Burke will mark for St Kilda, and the Saints are away.
Going around the member's side of the ground, and he works it across to Coughlin. Coughlin kicks it up towards centre-half forward. Lockett out in front. Hit the palms of the hands, bounced off, went down to Harvey. A hand pass there to Hilton. A snap for goal's got a chance. It's a goal. It's a goal to Hawthorn from the boot of the young player Hilton, who was absolutely besieged by his teammates. That's a useful sort of a goal to kick at this time of the day in your first game. And 12 minutes into the third quarter, we find that scores are level after 2.5 quarters of endeavour. 8-6 to 7-12. 3RW scoreboard, St Ober's Vitamin scoreboard.
Here's Graham Bond.
Well, that's Hilton, his 7th kick in league football. He scored a goal. He's played fairly well. He's had 3 marks and 2 hand passes as well. But St Kilda have taken the ball away from the centre twice in a row now.
12.5 minutes into the quarter, the umpire preparing to bounce the ball. Does it now in the centre of the ground. In there is the big fellow, Lawrence Tapp. Platten roved it beautifully. Hand passed out of there over to Hall. Hall's giving it to Rodbran. Intercepted there by Jarman. Back to Hall. Snap for goal, and it's out of bounds. Well, that was Platten was simply superb. He roved it beautifully and scooted down the ground, but the attack found it. It's out of bounds, and the free kick will be taken by St Kilda in the back pocket on the outer side, defending down there at the Lygon Street end. 7-12 to 8-6, with Hawthorn the 7-12, St Kilda the 8-6 on the 3RW scoreboard, and the ball about to be booted back into play, and back into play it goes, out towards the outer side of the ground. Oh, they're all high, up before acceptances, a lot of them, and the first one up crashed into somebody's back, and over there the free kick will be taken on that half-back flank on the outer side. It's not going to be a free kick. It's a hand pass across to Winmar. Winmar drives into the centre of the ground, and there's Newport to take the mark. Newport circling around centre half back now. Kicks it up to Smith, leading upfield. Spoiled there, knocked to the ground. A chance here for the Hawks if they're quick enough. They are through Jarman. Jarman whips it over towards the half-forward line. Nugent was high, but Newport will tidy up, giving across there to Rice, and Rice across to Grant. Grant getting around his opponent, Nugent. Kicks it in towards Harvey, going up there towards Allen and Harvey. Allen had it. Harvey tackles him strongly. It came loose, and there's Coughlin playing magnificent football. Kicks it on into the man coming across his path, and it rebounds out to Winmar in the centre of the ground. He kicked it right across over towards Nugent, coming out there, encouraged by that goal. Hot on his hammer was he Peake and picked it up and hand passed into Newport. Too long, but he got pushed in the back. Could have been tackled, but he was pushed in the back by Jenke, and Newport gets up with a free kick, rightfully so. In the centre of the ground, it's scores are still level on 54 points each, and Newport now coming up towards the centre half-forward spot. Oh, it's a mark for the big fella Lowe at the half-forward flank area, and Lowe has the mark. And if he could kick the last one, he must surely go pretty close to this one. Is he going to make his mark? Yes, puts the mark on the ground. I fancy Mr. Hudson may have had something to do with that, and they run over that particular mark. They line it up from the mark, they scrape into the ground. Lowe has done that. He's about 52 metres out, kicking to the Sydney Road end of the ground. He's got a good look at the goals. Plenty of opening there for him. The angle is not acute, and Lowe coming over that 50-metre line now. 3 or 4, up to 7 steps as he puts it on its way, and this one's going to be awfully close, but perhaps close enough only for 1 point. So it's a point lead to the Saints on 8-8. 8-8-56 leading Hawthorn 7-12-54. 2 points up on the 3RW scoreboard.
Langford at fullback. Robert Heatley stand or Sydney Road end of Princes Park. It's dark. The football's hot. The ball goes outside 50. Jenke takes a good mark for Hawthorn. He's more to the centre than centre half back. On the left boot, he's got a lead down there from Rodbram. From behind as Morris can't take the mark. Morrissey on the spill, picks it up, but kicks it down towards the goal. Here comes Hawthorn. Running around there is Jarman. Jarman's gone right through and has kicked the Priva Holiday goal of the day. Magnificent play by Jarman. Jeffrey did everything in his power to stop the the South Australian star, but Jarman, class written all over his Guernsey, has popped through a magnificent goal. 8-12-60 Hawthorn, St Kilda 8-7-55, 2 goals to Jarman, and here's Ron Barassi.
Well, if Jarman can evade the onrush of Jeffries, who's an Aboriginal, has that tremendous balance and agility, it just shows you how good that Jarman is. Of course, being the guy with the ball in the first place makes it a little bit easier, but a magnificent snap.
Umpire David Howlett puts it down, knocked out by Lawrence of Hawthorn. Here comes Coughlin, head down, bum up, through he goes, but the ball flicks out towards Winmar. Winmar's out in front of Platten. A 30-metre hand pass finds Harvey. He's on the left boot to Stuart Lowe, who dives into a beautiful mark in front of Robran, who has replaced Madigan, who was given the run around by Stewart, who's outside 50. Stuart Lowe has kicked the big giant giraffe kick. Where's Lockett? He's there, but Langford's taken a perler.
Langford is superb. He's beaten Lockett. He is absolutely superb, Langford, today. It's a clash of two fine footballers, and Langford's won the honours despite Lockett's goals, and Langford crashed to the field by Lockett foolishly, pays the free kick upfield. That was ridiculous play, Ron.
Yes, a bit of frustration coming into Tony's play there, I'd guess.
Well, the ball's out there on that outer side of the ground. It's Hawthorn's free kick on 8-12 to 8-7. They lead, and the ball kicked back upfield by Jenke up towards the half-forward line, travelling the outer flank. It came out off the hands of the pack. A hand pass was pumped out, I think, by Craven. Nobody there to accept until Grant came in. He got it to the elusive Harvey, who wobbles his way, has a bounce left-handed coming across the centre of the ground and boots it wide up towards Smith on the half-forward line. And a beautiful mark, clever juggling the mark by Smith. He hand passes quickly to Winmar. Quicksilver flowing through, and he's popped it through for a goal. Well, that was good play, Smith. Winmar did the thing in the finish, but it was a great piece of play by Smith and Harvey coming across field, and the Hawks 8-12 lead, lost again by 1 point to St Kilda 9-7.
Winmar has booted 3. Gary Bryce has scored at the MCG.
26-point lead to North Melbourne. They're 12-13-85. Collingwood are 9-5-59.
Al Martello, Windy Hill.
Essendon bounce back. They lead by 3 points, 7-7-49. Melbourne 7-4-46.
Sam Newman, Cardinia Park.
Yebbita, Geelong by 70 points, 18-9, 117 Adelaide, 7-5-47.
The bounce went out. Kitschke knocked it down. Here comes Jenke, left foot. Wormburner spills to half forward inside 50. Brereton overruns it. Frawley's dispossessed. Brereton versus Frawley. Brereton won it, got it down towards Morrissey. Hand pass to Hall. Gives him the flick and is kicked behind. Oh, it's big stuff here at Princes Park. And this is 3RW football, and Hawthorn are 8-13-61. St Kilda 9-7-61. John Murphy for Synovus Vitamins.
West Coast by 30 points, 9-11-65. Richmond 5-5-35.
Now Morris taps the ground, has a look at the options. Stuart Lowe calls for it. He's right down from the forward line. Stuart Lowe and Kitschke, and Stuart Lowe nearly got it. Came down towards Hall. He's grabbed, and the umpire says you were in possession, and the free kick is going to go to Kitschke. He is on the right half back, the left half back for St Kilda. He's got a player on his own. That will be Pekin. He's got a player there, Hilton, and Hilton hunches into the mark in front of Collins, who was right on his backside. So Hilton, with the long flowing blocks, has now kicked it inside 50. Who's he got there? Rice goes up, but here comes Tuck. Takes it, he bounces, runs outside 50, kicks a high ball down towards Anderson. Hall is there as well. Here comes Brereton. Kitschke playing the game of his life. Hand passes to Frawley. Frawley kicks it in, but it's smothered by Ayres. Frawley hand passes out to Nathan Burke. Calling for it is Coughlin. Coughlin's out of the square, and he bounces. He bounces again and will kick it inside 50. Where's Lockett? He's there, but punched by Langford with beautiful anticipation. Lockett has picked it up behind. What magnificent skills for a man of nearly 18 stone to pick it up, just bang, and the football spilled through behind the post. Saints 9-8-62, 1 point ahead of Hawthorn, 8-13-61, Synovus Vitamins. The kick out came, and Lawrence kicked it to McGuinness, and Hawthorn away.
It's coming around the member side of the ground. It's got under control now. Up there, up towards the half-forward line. Down to the ground, it went in the direction of Hudson back on the ground. Hudson sees the ball run away, and the Saints come away up towards the centre wing position. Harvey rakes in a splendid mark. Hand passes to Coughlin, who always running. The hand pass to Smith. Smith sees Lockett coming up the field. field. Langford in his back. Lockett stumbled forward. It's bouncing out towards the goal square, but Rodman will tidy it up with a 40-metre hand pass. This time out to Collins. It's too long for him. Winmar jumped high, a little bit too spectacular, and knocked away by McAdam. It spills out to Langford. Oh, Winmar gathered him in like a racehorse. Down to the ground it goes. From Winmar out to McAdam. To and fro, backwards and forwards. And the umpire said there's a push in the back, and it's going to go to McAdam, I would say. I think he was the last one to touch the ball, and that was absolutely brilliant over there on the half-forward flank. And he spears it in there to Hilton, taking the mark half-forward line on the member side of the ground. The crowd in good voice. See Lowe come up, and the pass by Hilton was good. Lovely pass by Hilton, showing a bit of class, and Lowe has the ball on the 50-metre line. He'll commence his run in from there, kicking towards the Sydney Road end on an acute angle of 75 to 80 degrees. Now Lowe coming in, trotting off that 50-metre mark, kicking up towards the Sydney Road end of the ground. It's on its way. It's gone across the face of goal. Several players high there, but it was a big fellow at Lawrence. No, it's through for 1 point. Lawrence marked, but the goal umpire deemed that it was through for 1 point. That's a point on the 3AW St Albans Vitamin scoreboard, and gives the Saints a lead of 2 points as Langford prepares to put it back into play. 21.5 minutes into the third quarter. They call it the championship quarter, and by gee, it's been just about that. Langford kicking it downfield. He's gone straight down the eye-diddle-diddle. Rodman at the back, up there, didn't do anything about it. Winmar at the back, patient, kicked it upfield, but the mark is going to be taken in defence once again up there by the big fellow in Lawrence defending. Lawrence now kicks it low, up towards the centre-half forward spot. Rodman, a centre-half back. Rodman picks it up, kicks it over towards the member side of the ground. A chance here if they're quick enough with McGuinness running for the ball. He slips, so too does his opponent. That was Rice, and he knocked it up towards Kitsky. Kitsky a hand pass to Burke, and Burke works it across to McAdam. McAdam burning his way around. Dummies a hand pass. He's in trouble now. Hand pass to Smith in the forward pocket, member side, and Smith has kicked it into Hilton. Hilton coming in, and Hilton's taken the mark just about between goal and behind post on the member side at the Sydney Road end. There's been some spectacular football in this quarter with pretty well every player playing his part. Now Hilton's on the boundary line, coming away from there, and he's kicked it back to Harvey, who came back behind the mark, and Harvey's marked about 45 metres out, kicking towards the Sydney Road end. The angle is about 45 degrees. Harvey now at the 23.5 minute mark of the quarter. Harvey hunched over the ball, looking upfield. Will have a ding at him. Crosses a 50-metre line now and puts the ball on its way, and he's kicked another goal, I would say. There's no worries about that at all. And the moment it left the boot, we had the line on it, and it was a goal from the boot. And the Saints have gone on to 10-9-69, leading Hawthorn 8-13-61. 3AW St Albans Vitamin scoreboard.
Al Martello at Windy Hill.
Essendon by 3 points, 8-8-56. Melbourne 8-5-53.
Gary Bryce.
Collingwood have just kicked another one. I'll have to wait for the score, yes. North Melbourne still lead by 27 points. 13-15-93. Collingwood 10-5-65.
John Murphy.
West Coast by 36 points, 10-11-71. Richmond 5-5-35.
Ball back in the centre. Infringement against Lawrence will go to Harding. Back on, replacing Kitsky. Harding in the centre of the ground. Fading light here at the Princes Park, Melbourne. Harding runs around the man on the mark and kicks it inside 50. Here comes Lockett. Now that was sensational play by Lockett. His strength showed out. Langford fell for the trap of wrestling the man Mountain. He wrestled with him, but just within 3 metres. He gave him the flick, Lockett, just like dusting a bit of dust off, and the ball stuck in the claws of Lockett. Well, this is a super critical goal for St Kilda. Time on approaching. They're 8 points in front, St Kilda. And Lockett, the crowd silence. He's 40 metres out, and it's a goal! It's a goal to St Kilda. That is a boomer. Saints 11-9-75. Hawthorn 8-13-61. Time on. 3AW St Albans Vitamin scoreboard. John Murphy at VFL Park.
West Coast lead by 42 points at 11-11-77. Richmond 5-5-35.
Sam Newman, Cardinia Park.
Geelong by 70, 29, 129. Adelaide 9-5-59.
Al Martello, Windy Hill.
Essendon by 4 points, 8-9-57. Melbourne 8-5-53.
Gary Bryce, MCG.
North by 29. They're 13-16-94. Collingwood 10-5 65.
Knocked out by Harding. Knocked on again, looking for Lowe. He's got it, has a kick, and it spills inside 50. Here comes Smith for St Kilda. He's tackled by McGuinness. Winmar's tackled high. The crowd want it. 50 metres. Bounced by umpire David Howlett.
On the half-forward line on the members' side of the Sydney Road end. That's where it is at the moment, and going into attack, the Saints. Kicking up to that Sydney Road end with 26 minutes played in the quarter. Umpire preparing to put it down now. He does this. Coming in to do the ruck work was Lawrence. He knocked it upfield, but it's all St Kilda there. Harding accepted. He didn't contest the issue. Kicks it over towards centre half forward. Langford rushed at the ball. Tucker standing back. Has it? He better be quick. He was gathered in very smartly by Hilton. It spilled out. It's in the forward pocket on the outer side of the ground. It came out to Collins. Collins a long hand pass over there. Will find Jenke, and Jenke takes it around that outer flank over towards Jarman leading up, but the ball's too long for all of them, and it's out of play on the centre wing on the outer side of the ground. 11-9 to 8-13. That's 14 points the difference in favour of St Kilda coming up to the last quarter, only about 2 or 3 minutes away from three-quarter time. The ball spinning back into play. In there was Lawrence. He knocked it down. He has got it. Hand passed out frantically over towards Hudson, trying to pick it up. He has now. Scoots away, gets onto his right foot. A lovely smother over there by Morris. Morris kicks it high up towards the centre wing position, and Collins is in there in front of Hilton to take the mark. He pumps the hand pass out quickly, and they go away upfield to Hudson over towards the centre half forward spot. Pekin in there. And Pekin takes a good mark in defence for the Saints. Pekin at the centre half-back position, or thereabouts, short of that, kicks it up towards the half-back line, and the mark is taken over there by Burke. Burke's had plenty of possessions. How many, Bondi?
13 kicks, 5 hand passes, 4 marks.
Onto the left foot and going over towards the outer side of the ground. It spills loose, knocked away by Robran, pushing it over there, pushing and shoving the ball, and he got pushed and shoved into the fence, and the umpire says, no, it's out of bounds, it'll be thrown back into play. That didn't cause much pleasure over there on that outer flank, which is pretty tightly packed now. The ball spinning back into play there high, whacking it away. Might have been Harding, got it to ground, kicked off the ground by Burke, and his kick off the ground has gone over the line on the full, and the free kick will be taken by Robran over there, just about half-back flank on the outer side of the ground. At 27.5 minutes into the third quarter, Robran coming in. He started the game well, has played it a little bit, kicks up towards the half-forward line, punching it away was Grant in a good effort down to Burke. Burke hand passed out, taken away under control there, knocked away here and there, a chance for Allen. Allen's kick is smothered by a torrent of footballs there. Harvey picks it up. He's already a favourite. Hand pass to Newport. Newport across field to Burke. Burke pumps a hand pass to Winmar. He in turn over to Smith. He's got the game by the throat and he's put it through. Hit the post. He had everything in front of him and nothing to stop him. He steadied and kicked, and it hit the post about 3/4 of the way up. At 30 minutes played, we find St Kilda 11-10-76, 15 points away from Hawthorn, 8-13-61, 3W, Synovus Vitamin scoreboard.
It has been a grand quarter. Newport for mine has played marvellous football in this quarter, got them going from the crunches. Langford kicks outside 50, punched away from Lawrence by Harding, went to Smith of St Kilda, hand pass to Harvey, Harvey hand passes to Smith, Smith hand passes to Harding, Harding's got the ball on towards Lockett, he can't take it on the half volley, but coming through, Coghlan is claimed, Tuck comes in and is tackled by Hilton, and the ball's over the boundary line. Tell me about Newport's possessions in this quarter, Graham Bond.
He's had 7 kicks this quarter and 6 hand passes.
So there you are. It says it all. 13 possessions for the quarter for Newport. Knocked on by Lowe. Coming through Hilton, but coming through Harvey as well as in possession. And the ball's over the boundary line and out of bounds. How's it going at Windy Hill, big fellow?
Essendon by 5 points, 8-10-58. Melbourne 8-5-53.
Thank you for that. Left forward pocket. Robert Heatley stand in. Knocked out by Stuart Lowe. Sharked by Robran of Hawthorn. Kicks a long ball outside 50. Jeffrey allows it to go, and here comes Craven. He'll need some support, and it comes from Pekin. Pekin in turn, a long left-handed hand pass finds Harding. Harding runs away as if he's a rover. He kicks a long high ball down to Stuart Lowe. 2-on-1, punched by Lawrence. It came down to Rice. Rice has built it in towards Lockett. Lockett runs around. Through comes the powerhouse, but through comes experience in Tuck, and we'll see the boundary line safely for the footy to go over the chalk.
Out of bounds on the half-forward line on the outer side. And that's where it was located when the siren went. St Kilda, a fine third quarter. go into the three-quarter time huddle with a score of 11-10-76. Hawthorn 8-13-61 the score on the 300 Synovus Vitamin scoreboard.
A 20-point turnaround for the St Kilda side in that quarter. They trail by 5 at the major break, but kicking 5 goals 5 to the Robert Heatley or Sydney Road end. They have boomed out to 15 points ahead of Hawthorn, who kicked 2 goals 3 to the Lygon Street end. This is crunch time for both Hawthorn and St Kilda. For the Saints, Lockett has booted 4 and Winmar 3 and Lowe 2. And for Hawthorn, Jarman has booted 2. Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
Well, the Cats are 82 points ahead of the Crows, 22-9, 141 to Adelaide 9-5, 59.
How many Brownless?
Brownless hasn't kicked any more than 6, but Mr. Merriman, Russell Merriman, just kicked a quick 4 in this quarter.
Al Martello at Windy Hill.
25-minute mark, and Essendon lead by 5 points, 8-10-58. As Long has a shot and has missed or kicked the goal. It's a point, so Essendon 8-11-59 lead by 6 points, 8-5-53.
Thank you, big fellow. Gary Bryce, MCG.
26-minute mark, North have a 10-point lead. They're 13-16-94, Collingwood 13-6-84.
John Murphy, VFL Park.
38-point lead to West Coast, 11-14-80. Richmond 6-6-42.
Thank you, gentlemen. Princess Park, 3AW football.
Well...
$10.76. Hawthorn are 8-13-61. Better players. Here's Bill.
For Hawthorn, Collins, Ayres, Allen continues to play a fair part in the game. Langford, Platten, and Rodburn for his first and third quarters, as I've seen it. For St Kilda, Coglan has been superb. Frawley has blanketed Brereton. Burke, Harvey, Winmar, Morris consistent all day. Lowe and Newport. And, of course, you've got to mention Lockett for his 4 goals.
So Kitsky and Ralph Smith on the bench for St Kilda. Here's Graham Bond.
Well, St Kilda have scored 9 goals to the end, which we don't think is favoured by the wind. They have that end this quarter, the wind end.
Here's Ron Barassi.
Well, a magnificent quarter, absolutely sensational, inspiring stuff by the Aboriginal boys, particularly over on the far side with a couple of quick tackles. Inspired, I guess, in turn by Winmar, a goal on the run, and the St Kilda team past the 10-minute mark of that quarter played inspired football. It was just very, very good in all phases of the game. Tremendously quick. I just don't know how the players keep up the pace and combining it with the tackling and kicking goals as well. A great quarter by St Kilda, and I think now that Hawthorn's reserves, their inner reserves of every player, will be thoroughly and fully called upon in this next half hour.
Sam Newman, your score at Cardinia Park.
We're still playing the third quarter. Geelong by 82 points, 22-10, 142. Adelaide 9-6-60.
Al Martello, Windy Hill.
30-minute mark, and Essendon are leading by 12 points, 9-11-65. As Brett Lovett lines up for Melbourne from 30 metres out. Melbourne 8-5-53.
Umpire David Howlett starts this game in the doom and gloom out here at Princes Park. Stacks on the mill, and Harding comes out with a football and hand passes it to centre half forward. Here comes Robran, but it was picked up there by Tuck, kicked it down towards half forward. Jeffries is hurt. I reckon he's dislocated his finger. We'll keep an eye on that as the ball spills in towards Hudson, who sprawls for the mark, but picking it up is Rice. Rice now for St Kilda, kicks it outside 50 down there to the lead of Winmar, and the ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds, but not before Winmar was held. And Jeffries in a little bit of trouble. He'll need one of those trainers to pull that finger back into place, because it's as crooked as the old windy road, and he's coming off to get that done. So Winmar now will kick it down towards wing position. Low is high. It's dark here, and Pritchard picks it up. Spills the football in towards 50. Hall is very high. Off the top of the pack, running in there is Morris. Morris for St Kilda was kicked off the ground and marked by Grant, but no 10 metres. Went back towards Pekin. He's tackled. Came out towards Morris. Morris now kicks a giant giraffe kick down towards the wing position out of side, looking for Lowe. Punched away from that player. And here comes Platten, but St Kilda go forward with Lowe. Down towards the right half forward. Hilton is there for St Kilda, and he's got it, and he hand passes it on. Here comes McAdam. He'll tap it on in front of himself. Look at Tuck, put the pressure on. McAdam's got it. Hands and knees. This is big stuff as McAdam picks it up. How did he get that to his boot? Well, he did, and I don't know. The football spilled behind. 11-11, 77 St Kilda. Hawthorn 8-13, 61. This is 3AW football, and 11-11, whatever it's Lord something. Here's Bill.
And the ball about to be kicked back into play. You know, it did 3 of those for Lord Nelson. 1-1-1. Langford now up to the line and kicking it up towards the centre of the ground. It's a chance for Robert to take the mark unattended, and he hand passes quickly across, and away they go at Nugent. Hand passing to Morrissey. Morrissey upfield. They grabbed by the leg. Play on with the call. Back it comes over there, and they go away with McGuinness bouncing the ball in towards the forward pocket. Frawley and Brereton. Brereton knocked it down, tapped it to the ground again. It'll be knocked away by Grant. It came out to Rice. Rice onto the left foot, delivers the ball around. A chance there now for Hawks, and they come away with McGuinness again up towards the forward line, knocked away by Morris, who's been superb today, playing against his old team. Surely a great test of a person's character, and Morris has certainly come through in that direction today as far as I'm concerned. It's out of bounds in the forward pocket on the members' side of the ground at the Sydney Road end. They wrestle for position there, knocked down very quickly. A chance for Nugent. He kicked the first goal of the third quarter, kicks it across the face of goal. Frawley over there. It's knocked very close to the boundary line, and I think it'll finish out of bounds, and that's exactly where it is. Out of bounds in the forward pocket on the outer side of the ground at the Sydney Road end. The Hawks are attacking up that way, and they badly need a goal. The ball spinning back into play. Hawks combine to get it down the direction of Ayres. Nobody able to pick it up, and there's Newport thumping away over to Coglan, always on the run. Coglan, hand pass to Pekin. Pekin gets his boot to the ball and kicks it around to centre wing. McAdam and Tuck. Tuck leading in the race for the ball, and McAdam grabbed him by the arm. The umpire spotted it, and Tuck will take it over there on the outer side of the ground, the City side of the outer side. Tuck now coming in from that position, looking upfield, comes in to take his kick, and he's kicked it long, jackknifing into it as it were. High there, knocking it away was Grant, and over the line it goes to be thrown in at the 4.5-minute mark of the last quarter. Scoreboard shows 11-11 to 8-13 on the 3AW Makita BBC scoreboard, and it's out of bounds on the outer side. Outer side, half forward flank for Hawthorn. Baxi comes into play. In there, Ayres jostling, wrestling and trying to knock it away. Nobody can, and the umpire was just about to blow the whistle when it spilled out, and it came out in the direction of Winmar. Winmar hotly pressed over there by Jenke, and once again the ball's gone out of the field of play to be thrown back in. If ever it's true centre wing position, it is now. Spot on that position on the outer flank. Back into play it comes, coming in to do the ruck work. Lawrence at the back. I fancy he may have got the tap. It went to Coglan, who was brought to the ground. Down it went, and a chance for Newport. He overran it, was picked up by Grant, kicking up towards the half-forward line, still travelling around the outer side of the ground. It came over there, and the Hawks will get away with the ball being relayed eventually up to Langford. It came across there from Jenke and others, up towards the centre of the ground. Picking it up skillfully was Hall to give it to Platten. Platten through the middle of the ground, hooks it up towards centre half forward. A little bit of a push in the back there, went unnoticed. Brereton taps it back. Over there it was a chance for Jarman. He tried to give it back to Brereton. It was futile. Picked up by Ayres. Ayres is going to try and get it into Brereton. He's kicked a point. 1 point. He hasn't had many kicks. Was Hudson hasn't had many kicks. That's St Kilda 11-11 77 and Hawthorn 8-14 62.
It's going to, we'll go there shortly because Frawley very quick kicks it out and towards Harding, and Harding hunches himself into the mark in front of Lawrence. So Harding kicks it on the left boot and down towards the wing position, looking for Newport. Couldn't take the mark. Newport and Collins collide very heavily. There's a free kick to St Kilda, and it's going to go to Newport. So Stephen Newport had a magnificent third term and starts off brightly in the last term. The fading light here at Princes Park, and he goes into centre half forward and tuckers up. Can't take the mark. On the spill it comes down to Coglan. He knocks it on beautifully to Nathan Burke, but there's a free kick because the umpire deemed it to be a scoop. Al Martello at Windy Hill.
Three-quarter time, Essendon leading by 11 points, 9-11-65, Melbourne 8-6-54.
And a 50-metre penalty too, and Nathan Burke not happy, but umpire Chris Mitchell has given him every bit of 50 metres as Pritchard's got a lead down there from Hall, and Jenke has gone up and take the mark. He had a couple of options, but Jenke was the recipient of that kick, and Pekin does very, very nicely to try and stop that mark, but it was a beautiful pass. So Jenke, he's outside 50 and will kick from 51 3/4 metres. He's on a 45-degree angle. Right half forward flank at the Sydney Road end. He lines it up and puts the boot into the ball. It sails into the goal square. High was Brereton. Touched off Pack. and football goes behind. 11-11-77, Saints Hawthorn 8-15-63. Gary Bryce at the MCG.
A minute into the last quarter, a 9-point lead to North Melbourne. They're 13-17 at 95. Collingwood are 13-8-86.
So Russell Morris kicks it outside 50 for St Kilda, looking for Grant, who takes a class mark right over the top of Ray Jenke. Grant now has tackled. They're looking for 50 St Kilda fans, but he kicks at 50, Grant. Right down to Stuart Lowe. He's taken 10 big ones today. Magnificent return to form by Stuart Lowe, and we saw it in Sydney 2 weeks ago. He's on the way back, and he's kicked it in towards centre half forward. Up high was Harvey, couldn't get it, but Ayres hand passes it to Langford. Langford will kick it outside 50 to the lead down there of Hall. Hall will hunt himself into the pack and kick it down towards the lead of Hudson, who is out in front of Morrison. Will mark on right half forward, 50-metre line. Sydney Road end, Brereton calling for a long ball. He's got it. Frawley will have to go, and Brereton's got it. There was nothing he could do, Frawley, because Brereton had to sit. Danny was under the flight of the ball. As it died on its trajectory, the kid said, watch out, it's mine. And Brereton loves these. He eats these for breakfast, but he mustn't see much light from where he is standing. So Brereton has kicked a goal. Vital kick for Hawthorns. Dermot Brereton, 10 minutes in. Makita, BBC scoreboard, sees 77 St Kilda, play Hawthorn 63. Billy the Kid, Dermot Brereton, skippity skip, runs around and has kicked a goal. Premier Holiday stuff. Championship goal to Brereton. Magnificent play. Hawthorn 9-15-69. St Kilda 11-11-77. Makita, BBC. A class job, Ron Barassi.
Well, the mark, of course, was quite easy. In fact, I think Danny Foley either miscalculated Hudson's intention. Hudson was the man with the ball, and or miscalculated how far he was going to kick it, because in the end, it went right over his head to see the goal kicker, Brereton, just take an easy mark at the finish, but a terrific kick, though.
10 minutes into the quarter, as they bounce the ball in the middle, it's flipped here and there. There's a chance there for Anderson. He picked it up and kicked it as quickly as he could up towards the half-forward line. It's going to be a mark over there to Winmar, near enough to centre-half back at the moment. Winmar kicks it wide over to the outer side of the ground, looking for Newport. Too long for him. Collins had a chance, lost the run of the ball. Tip here and a tap there, and Hawks trying to get it away, but Hilton came up with the ball and cheekily bounced his way away up towards the full forward spot with his kick off the hands of Lowe. A chance there for Langford as Grant to the ground, over into the forward pocket. Coghlan always boring in after the ball, puts it over towards the boundary line. The boundary umpire was about to put the hand up, I think, before the umpire blew the whistle, and Platten will come up with a free kick over there in the back pocket on the outer side of the ground. 11-11 to 9-16, with the ball being 15, kicked upfield up towards the half-forward flank, half-back flank as far as the Hawks were concerned, and the mark has been taken over there by the big fellow, by Pekin. He's handballed across very quickly, and they come into attack up towards the centre half-forward spot. Tuck was in the front berth, Coghlan roving the pack, nobody able to take it out of that area. Platten grabbed on the way through, play on as the call, it finds its way out, and the Hawks with handball get the ball going with Anderson, booting it up towards the centre wing position on the outer side of the ground. Tapped here and there. It's going to be Harding taking it away onto the left foot. He spears in towards centre half forward. McAdam and Newport raffled it, and Newport won the raffle, took the mark at centre half forward. Up he goes and back he goes. Now he's decided to take his kick, coming upfield, and a chance there for Lowe. Tip tapped over his head, bunched away and knocked down. Winmar coming through like steam. Down to the ground it goes. A chance here, and the free kick is going to go to Jenke Hawthorn, maybe, in the last line of defence, in the back pocket area, on the members' side of the ground. 11-11 to 9-15. The difference is 77 to 69. That's 8 points. And Ray Jenke with the ball in the back pocket on the members' side, bringing it around up towards centre wing position. Hall will have a big run at the back. Rice in front. Hall's going to claim the mark. There's no way known play on as the call, and the umpire, due to some indecision, decides to bounce it. He may have paid a kick there, but however, a bounce is a fair decision, close to centre wing on the members' side of the ground. 11-11 to 9-15. The Hawks trailing by 8 points on the 3AW Makita BBC scoreboard. Umpire about to put it down. Time running away up to the 12-minute mark, and being held there, was the big fellow in Harding, and I think he will take the free kick on the members' side of the ground. It will be Harding centre wing. Now he decides to go away onto the right foot, over towards the centre half forward spot. They massed there, knocked down. Was going to be Langford brilliantly getting it out to Jarman, and he bounces his way towards the outer side of the ground. Got his kick in the nick of time. In towards the centre it went. It's shoveled out in the direction of Tuck. Tuck using all of his guile. Gets onto the left foot to kick it wide over to Jarman. It didn't sit for him, but Jarman's made it good. Onto the left foot. He's kicking it towards Brereton, coming up. Beautiful mark over there by Morris. Morris taking the relieving mark. Half back flank out inside Sydney Road end.
So Morris has been ever so superb today, and must be one of the draft choices of the year for the Saints, and he kicks a big long high ball outside 50 to wing position, and the ball spills over the boundary line and out of bounds. Let's go to El Martello at Wendy Hill.
Essendon 10-11-71, lead by 17 points over Melbourne, 8-6-54.
Ball now back into play from the boundary umpire, and going up as Harding grabs it out of the air. Hand passes towards Rice. Rice accepts the hand pass, but this is Nathan Burke. I beg your pardon. Burke to Lockett. Magnificent kick by Burke. He saw Lockett, and if you could pass by 50 was right the first time, Rice. But it didn't matter because the ball has ended up with Lockett. What a superb 50-metre short pass, Ron.
Yes, it was, and Lockett did his part of the action too, because he doubled back a couple of times on the fullback for Hawthorn, who's really had him under control today, and that's of course Langford, but that's a good 50-metre pass. It's not often you see that length pass these days, and it was terrific to see.
Lockett, 35 metres, call it directly in front. He kicks. Goal to Lockett. St Kilda at 12, goals 11, 5 goals to Anthony Lockett. 12-11-83, Hawthorn 9-15-69, Makita BBC scoreboard, and that stinks because Langford to me is still the best man on the ground, and this man has kicked 5. Here's Ron.
Yes, he has done a superb job. He's definitely beaten Lockett in man-to-man duels. He couldn't stop a pass like that. I know that Lockett did play his part as I described a moment ago, but just the same, Langford has been absolutely tremendous today.
They've got breathing space, St Kilda. They've got a 14-point buffer. Ball back in the centre. 13 minutes in, it hit Harding on the cranium. It bounced to the ground and Jenke brought it with him. Kicked off the ground and Rice nearly lost a finger, but Ben Allen kicks it inside 50. Looking for Hall. Hall's opponent peak and fell over. Hall has brought this back. This is magnificent. Oh, just fails to make the chalk, and the ball was thumped behind from Hudson, and Ralph Smith conceded the football to the minor scoring area. 12-11-83, Saints Hawthorn 9-16-70, Makita BBC.
Morris kicking the ball back into play across to the outer side of the ground. The Hawks desperate now. One of the great sights in football. Hawthorn fighting for its life, and now it's Newport out in the direction of Coghlan. Went the wrong way. Rodman had it, tapped it away. It's loose on the half-forward line. There's players everywhere. Harvey got it, tapped it upfield, up towards the half-forward line on the outer side of the ground. And over there is the mark. It might be Burke over on that outer flank and takes it now up towards the forward pocket area. Coming out is Lowe, and he's run right into the mark. Low out there. Now the Saints may be coming marching in now. The Saints, the greatest chance they'll ever get to break their hoodoo on this ground. Kicking it in low in towards full forward. Langford there had most of it, not enough though. He kicked it out, and there will be the mark taken there over there by Pritchard, going upfield up towards the half forward line over the back. Craven marked over the top of Platt, and there's one of the sights of the century. Craven hand passing across field over there to Ralph Smith. Ralph Smith to Burke. Burke on centre wing on the member side of the ground, kicks it around, and we're coming up towards the half forward line. McAdam leading out as Tuck, and Tuck knocks the ball away from McAdam and puts it over the line about 55 metres around from goal at the Logan Street end. 12-11 to 9-16, halfway through the last quarter, 15 minutes in. 12-11 to 9-16, the ball spinning back into play. Ruck work done there, and cleverly by Lowe. Got it down very quickly, kicked upfield, but it's going to be Burke trapping the ball near the boundary line. He's besieged by Hawthorn players, but he saw enough daylight to kick it across to Harding, and that player slid into the mark on centre wing. Harding on centre wing on the members' side side of the ground, kicking up towards the scoreboard end to Logan Street end, taking his time, a measured kick up towards Lockett and Langford 2 out, and Lockett won it. Used his body beautifully. No question about that one. Lowe put it up there for the big fellow, and Lockett and Langford in an absolute 2-out duel, hips against each other, and Lockett outmanoeuvred the champion full-back. So 12-11-83 could be the match-winning goal if you can ever signal one in particular. At 16 minutes into the quarter, the difference is 13 points, and Lockett can make it with his 6th goal. He can make it 19 points. 12-11-9-16. Lockett just trotting in off the 50-metre line. Langford jumping around on the mark, and Lockett, I think, is astray. I don't think he can help him either, Ron. That's 12-12-9-16 on the 3W Makita scoreboard.
Let's go to Al Martello at Windy Hill.
Essendon by 12 points, 10-12-72, Melbourne 9-6-60.
Langford now has kicked it outside 50, looking for Jenke, thumped away by Coughlin. It went to Newport, smothered off the boot. Newport, how did he get his kick to that? He did. Here comes the race for Rice. Rice is going to kick a goal. Here's a goal for St Kilda. Magnificent play by Rice. I saw him come, and he ran from the 50-metre line. Now Newport is getting the accolades that he deserved because he got the ball out, kicked it over his shoulder, and Rice sprinted from the line, got the break, and bang. 13-12-90 St Kilda, Hawthorn 9-16-70.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Perhaps Rice would have done the same for Victoria on Tuesday night if we'd picked him in at 22. But that was magnificent, and I couldn't agree with you more. And it's good to see the St Kilda teammates congratulate Newport for his gutsy effort there in the centre.
Umpire Howlett puts it down, knocked out by Harding for St Kilda. St Kilda can sniff victory. It's not over yet. 17 minutes have gone. They're crying for the ball. But Jenke playing his guts out, kicks it to centre half forward. Punched away down there by Grant. Came in towards Burke, a worm burner. But it was kicked off the ground for Hawthorn by Ben Allen. It's spilled into the arms of Morrissey, who's in trouble and will be penalised. Had no chance of getting rid of it, and the ball will be taken by Pekin. He in turn hand passes. He gets it across to Nathan Burke, who kicks a skimming kick down to McAdam, and McAdam goes out in front of Tuck and takes a timely mark. So McAdam over there has kicked a long ball down towards Stuart Lowe. Kitski there as well, and going in there Hilton, but trying to get the ball going to Smith. It came back down to Hilton. Hilton for St Kilda kicked it in towards Lockett and also Langford. Lowe's hand pass to Lockett. He can't get it. Very close. Smith will run in, and the boundary line is too close.
It's out of bounds. 13-12-9-16. 18 and a half minutes played in the last quarter. It looks like St Kilda's game. They've got a lead of 20 points, and they're coming home with the tide. The ball thrown back into play now on that outer side of the ground. It was taken away by Lawrence. Lawrence pumped the hand pass out, or attempted to, but St Kilda's player swamped him. Down on the ground it goes. Nobody can free the ball, and the ball will be bounced in the forward pocket on the outer side, but it's practically in front of goal. It's slightly favouring the outer side with the score 13-12-9-16. 90 plays 70. The umpire now coming in to bounce the ball at the 19-minute mark of the quarter. Down it goes. Lawrence won it, got it out. The kick was smothered by the little fellow. Collins came through like a train. Hand passed out to his captain, who gave it to Platten, coming through brilliantly. Kicked it in towards the centre of the ground, and here's a chance for the Hawks if they were good enough, but they weren't. Picked up very quickly and driven downfield by Newport up towards the full forward spot. But once again, we find pretty good defensive work in there by the Hawthorn fullback and Langford. Now Langford's in the back pocket on the members' side of the ground. The score is 13-12-9-16, and Langford chips a short one in, looking for and finding Allen, and Allen dropping back there to take the mark on the half-back flank on the members' side of the ground. He's kicked up towards the centre wing position, but here's another fine player today in the person of Rice, taking the mark on centre wing. Kicks in towards Smith. Smith has marked it, looking for handball. Gave it across to the call from Harvey. Harvey's kicked to the lead by Lockett over towards the outer side of the ground. Lockett lumbering after it. Langford hot on his hammer. Lockett went to ground, forced down, knocked to the ground again. A chance for Hilton. Hilton picks up and has a flying shot for goal in towards the goal square. McAdam out of touch. It's bouncing very close. McAdam keeps it in play. No, he hasn't. Hit the post, and the goal umpire signals 1 point. So creeping up to the 20-minute mark in the quarter, it looks like St Kilda with 13-13-91, 21 points away from the gallant Hawks, 9-16-70 on the Fair W. Makita BBC scoreboard, and the ball about to be kicked back into play by Langford. He goes straight down the middle of the ground, looking up there for somebody to mark it. Nobody could. Jenke had a chance. Handball will find its way out, and away they go with Pritchard getting the boot to the ball, kicking it around over there in the shadows of that Hawthorn grandstand. Down to the ground it goes. It's knocked free. A chance here for Hawthorn if they're quick enough. It's given across. I think it might be Hall coming up to boot it on its way, and it's through for a goal from the boot of Hall, and that takes the Hawks up to 10-16. They won't die. 10-16-76, 15 points on St Kilda's 13-13, 91 at 20 minutes in.
Al Martello at Windy Hill.
Essendon by 13 points, 9-13-73, Melbourne 9-6-60, 14-minute mark.
Gary Bryce, MCG.
15-minute mark. Collingwood have a 4-point lead. They're 16-12-108 to North Melbourne, 14-20, 104.
Sam Newman at Cardinia Park.
Geelong have got a buffer of 97 points.
Thank you very much. Howlett back in the centre. He's the umpire. Knocked out by Harding, looking for Craven. But Harding kicked it to half forward, looking for Smith. Over the top, McGuinness of Hawthorn. McGuinness is under trouble. Kicked off the ground by Lowe. It spills 10 metres towards Hilton. On hands and knees, Collins couldn't get it, but Harvey's got it. He's tackled without the football. Over the top of the ball, Craven. The umpire says, I'm not going to give a free kick. And all those St Kilda fans yelling can swallow their fisherman's friend. So here is Chris Mitchell. He's got the footy and he's in charge of the game at the moment. There's a high ball knocked out by Lawrence, went to Collins. Over the top, here come Hawthorn again. They're not dead by Jenke. Good interception by Harding. Coming through there is Robran, but was kicked forward by Jenke. Beautiful mark by Grant of St Kilda. He's done a woof-woof bird. He's in trouble. Turn back in, but here comes Pekin, who's been superb. Kicks a long ball down towards Newport. Collins is desperate. Edge of the cliff stuff here. Stacks on the mill, and umpire Chris Mitchell hugs himself and will bounce John Murphy at VFL Park.
4 straight goals to Richmond, see them trail by 26 points. 13-15-93 the Eagles to Richmond, 10-7-67.
So a little bit of ray of sunshine comes through. The ball now knocked out by Lawrence from the bounce down. It came out towards Winmar, who dived on the football. Nathan Burke is a rock of Gibraltar and kicks it back towards half forward. Lawrence punches the football away from Stuart Lowe. It spills end over fist and goes out towards Platten on the practice area of the cricket pitches over there. Kicks it down towards half forward. But there he is again, David Grant. He's a very good aerialist, the boy from the Apple Isle.
Well, he's taken the ball on the half-back flank on the outer side, kicked it up towards his team's half-forward line, travelling that flank. Tap here and a tap there, and it goes over towards the boundary line and over. Out she goes, and there'll be a throw-in taking place on the half-forward flank for St Kilda on the outer side. 23 and a half minutes in. I think the Saints have got it with a 15-point lead, but it's not all over by any means. The ball spinning back and a play, a goal to Hawthorn would make it very interesting. Came down very quickly, kicked across towards any player who can take it out of that pack, and the umpires are going to bounce the ball. No, he's holding the ball against St Kilda by the look of it, and it may be Allen coming up with a free kick on that half-back flank on the outer side of the ground. It's 13-13, 13-13 to 10-16, and the Hawks about to go into attack from the half-back flank on that outer side, coming in to take the kick now, and the kick is long up to the half-forward line. Brereton leering out there, and they're punched away from him by about 3 St Kilda players. The call is for play on. It spilled out in the direction of Craven. Craven had it knocked away from it. It's going up towards the half-back flank. Over there is Harding to take it under control and kick it back around centre wing position. Now we'll see the chance for St Kilda, and that'll be Hilton up there, I think, onto the left boot, kicking up towards the half-forward line. It's whisked away, but Tuck, brilliant over there, showing his guile and experience, has kicked it to the member side of the ground. It's 2 out. There's a chance here for Rice, and Rice breaks past the tackle. Rice goes away from Cooper, kicks it into centre half forward. Play on us a call, nearly a mark. The St Kilda crowd want to mark to Harvey, but play on us a call. Harvey goes in after it again, and desperate they are, Hawthorn, coming out as Jenke to boot it away up towards centre half forward, and plunging forward valiantly in defence again is Grant for St Kilda at centre half back, and taking the traffic around the outer side, looking over there for Newport. It's bouncing and bouncing and bouncing away from him, and it's over the line out of bounds to be thrown in. At 24 minutes into the quarter, St Kilda look like getting home at 13-13 to 10-16. The ball coming back at the players they massed there. May have been Lawrence with the tap. It could have been anyone's tap. Out it comes in the direction of Hall. Hall picked it up and kicked it to the boundary line, but Newport has claimed it wasn't paid a mark. Knocked upfield towards Ralph Smith. It's loose pace out there direction of Smith on that outer flank on the outer side of the ground. He's got it across over towards the half-forward flank, and it's coming in towards McAdam in the full-forward area. He tapped it to Lockett, and Lockett kicked the goal.
Jeez.
All over Red Rover. A goal to Lockett. How do you describe this? It's St Kilda have won it. It's 25 minutes in. Hawthorn couldn't possibly get up off the floor. 14-13-97, and Hawthorn's 10-16-76.
El Martello at Windy Hill.
2 goals in 2 minutes to Melbourne. They trail by 7 points now. Essendon 11-13-79. Melbourne 11-6-72.
Gary Bryce, MCG.
North Melbourne lead by 8 points. They're 16-20-116. Collingwood 16-12-108.
Time on only to be played. St Kilda by 21. Umpire Howlett bounce. Knocked out by Robram. Here come Hawthorn. Craven has cleaned up. Ayres will not lay down. Madigan's on the ground trying to get it going on hands and knees. Here's Burke. Beautiful play by Nathan Burke. The ball spills out towards Smith of St Kilda, leading McGuinness in the race for the ball, and McGuinness grimaces in pain as he tries to catch the football before it went over the boundary line and out of bounds. This has been a superb game of football by both sides. Ball back into play. Grabbed by Robran. A fresh air shot. Stuart Lowe gets a tumbling little kick to half forward. Coghlan comes in and sees the ball over the boundary line and out of bounds safely. Will this be the one to make up for last week's upset against Essendon? Because next Monday they will meet North Melbourne at Moorabbin, and they'll have to get there by Sunday night if North and St Kilda win. But we're still playing. Knocked out by Harding. Newport picks it up. Look at the guts and determination on these players. Ben Allen hand passes to Lawrence. Lawrence kicks a giant giraffe kick down towards the centre wing. High flyers wanted, and there's a beautiful mark taken by St Kilda's Ralph Smith right in the foot of the pack, and Ralph Smith has held them up once again.
He's on the centre wing position on the member side of the ground and takes the ball around the member side up towards the half-forward flank. They'll wrestle here, knocking it away. Now it spilled out in the direction of Coghlan. Coughlan's given it to Lockett. And Lockett's taken the mark. Lockett's taken the mark near enough to full forward position. Full forward position. Well, Lockett's got the mark. I said Lockett's got the mark in front of goal down there at the scoreboard end. It's 14-13 to 10-16 on the 3W Makita BBC scoreboard. And Lockett about to take his kick. 27.5 minutes played. Lockett has the ball. And Langford standing the mark. Lockett coming in now, the difference 21 points, and he's put on its way, and it looks like another goal to Lockett, another goal to St Kilda, and the Saints have come marching in now, and the score is 15-13 to 10-16 on the 3W Makita BBC scoreboard.
Let's go to Windy Hill with El Martello.
Essendon by 8 points, 11-14-80. Melbourne 11-6-72, 20-minute mark.
Thank you. Gary Bryce at the MCG.
22-minute mark. North with a 9-point lead, 16-21-117 to Collingwood, 16-12-108.
John Murphy at VFL Park.
West Coast lead by 25 points, 14-15-99 to Richmond, 11-8-74.
103 to 76 here at Princes Park as the ball goes down. Pretty gloomy now. Harding won the tap out of the centre. Nobody can take it away yet, but the Saints surge forward yet again up towards the half-forward line, but it's bounced everywhere. Lowe leading in the race for the ball. Pointed to Hilton to shepherd away, I think. Lowe's picked it up. He was upset pretty quickly out there in the back pocket or forward pocket on the outer side of the ground, but the umpires elected to pay a free kick. And it's going to go to Hawthorn down there, and probably Collins. Collins will take the free kick at the 30-minute mark of the last quarter. So it's 16-13 to 10-16 as Collins comes around, brings it around the member side of the ground, and Langford takes the mark. Langford going away, gets onto the left foot, spears it up towards the centre wing position where Pritchard takes the mark. Pritchard kicking it towards the centre half-forward spot. Brereton couldn't take the mark. Nobody can. A chance there for Jarman coming through. He's pushed the ball out in front of him, out towards the boundary line. Has a snap for goal. It's gone over towards the goal front, and there might have been a mark there to Cooper, but the umpire called play on, but picking it up pretty quickly and putting it offline for 1 point. At siren time, the kick there was by Madigan, and the final score is St Kilda 15-13-103, a great victory over Hawthorn, 10-17-77, 3W Makita BBC scoreboard.
26 points is the margin by St Kilda, let us not take anything away from Hawthorn, who have been quite superb in defeat. Of course, that is no reward for them, but St Kilda will now go to Moorabbin next Monday, and you can lock the gate, because St Kilda have defeated Hawthorn by 26 points and have won their first game at Princes Park since round 11 in 1976, when Paul Callery was knocked out and St Kilda kicked 7 goals to 3 in the last term and won. St Kilda victorious. How Tony Lockett has kicked 7, I do not know, because to my mind Langford was, if not Hawthorn's best player, in their best 3. Lockett has booted 7, Winmar 3 and Lowe 2. Hilton, Harvey and Rice have kicked a goal each. For Hawthorn, Hall has kicked 2 and Jarman 2. 1 each Brereton, Anderson, Ayres, Morrissey and Nugent. Hawthorn have been defeated by St Kilda. St Kilda 15-13, 103. Have defeated Hawthorn 10-17, 77, before a magnificent crowd here at Princes Park, and one could not wish for a better display of AFL football 1991 style. The pace was sensational. Let's go to El Martello at Windy Hill. Today St Kilda have defeated Hawthorn by 26. Geelong will defeat Adelaide. Essendon and Melbourne in the balance. North and Collingwood in the balance. Richmond and West Coast. John Murphy, no time left for Richmond.
Not enough time now, Rex. A good effort by Richmond to get back in it, but time's gone.
Yes, thank you for that. El Martello at Windy Hill.
Well, the captain for Essendon, Simon Mannins, has raced in and kicked the goal, so they lead by 7 points at the 26-minute mark. Essendon 12-14, 86. Melbourne 12-7, 79.
We'll stay with you, big fellow, pretty regularly. Gary Bryce at the MCG.
North are 9 points in front, 27-minute mark, 17-21, 123. Collingwood 17-12, 114.
All right, let's go to you, Sam Newman, enjoying that down there.
They will, yes.
Let's go back to Big El Martello at Windy Hill.
Still no change. Essendon by...
Blockbuster with St Kilda and North Melbourne going to meet down there. They are the 2 boom sides at the moment, and we are selection number 1, so we're going to have to watch that game on Monday of next week's long weekend. Let's go back to El Martello at Windy Hill.
Well, Swartz ran into the open goal from 30 metres out for Melbourne and kicked the point, and they're into attack again, Melbourne. Over the back to Viney. Viney's got it in a forward pocket. Back to Jackson. And he's had the shot from the...
Morris, Lockett, Newport, Lowe and Harvey.
And here's Graham Bond with the story on paper.
Well, free kicks in the game went 23 to St Kilda and 18 to Hawthorn. The battle between Lockett and Langford. Lockett had 10 kicks, took 9 marks and kicked 7 goals 3. Langford had 11 kicks, took 5 marks and had 5 hand passes. Around the ground for St Kilda, Burke had 20 kicks and 8 hand passes. Coghlan 13 kicks and 6 hand passes. Hilton in his first game had 15 kicks and took 7 marks. Harvey picked up 11 kicks and 12 hand passes. Stewie Lowe took 11 marks and had 14 kicks. Newport 19 kicks, 8 handball and 3 marks. Russell Morris had 13 kicks against his old club. Tim Peakin 9 kicks, 16 hand passes and 5 marks. Dean Rice had 14 kicks, 10 hand passes, 6 marks and a goal. And Nicky Winmar picked up 15 kicks and kicked 3 goals. For the Hawks, Gary Ayres 12 kicks, 10 hand passes and 1 goal 1. Ben Allen had 15 kicks and 6 handball. Anderson picked up 13 kicks and 7 hand passes. Jinky had 16 kicks. Jarman had 13 kicks. Pritchard picked up 17 kicks with 5 hand passes. Platten 14 kicks and 6 hand passes. And in the goals, Jarman kicked 2. Hudson kicked 9 goals 1 last week, but didn't feature much today. Had 7 kicks and kicked 3 behinds.
Yes, thank you for Graham Bond. Let's go to Sam Newman at Cardinia Park at Brewery's Tankard. Tomorrow morning, Ron Barassi on 3AW at 8 o'clock will give 5 players votes out of 10 for the $5,000 Kira Pewter prize for the 3AW Footballer of the Year. I gave 3 votes to Nathan Burke today for a magnificent performance for St Kilda. He was superb. His guts and determination. I gave 2 to Rice, 1 to Newport of St Kilda for the same reason. If Lockett had not have kicked 7, I'd have given 2 to Langford. I thought he was that good. But I just can't concede to give a vote to a man's opponent who's kicked 7 goals in a 26-point win. Because Lockett has kicked 7 out of 15 to prove that he is a class player. But take a bow, Langford of Hawthorn. Here's Bill Jacobs.
Well, I look at it this way. The main actors in the game today were Lockett and Langford and Lowe and people of that stature. The others were bit players and they played their part. But in the end result, it came down to who won the game, and I gave it to Lockett. I gave 3 to Lockett and I gave 2 to his opponent. And if that contradicts the line of thinking on possessions and so on, well, I contradicted. I give 3 to Lockett, I gave 2 to Langford, and I gave 1 to Lowe.
Here's Ron Barassi.
Well, I found it extremely hard there. A lot of St Kilda players in particular played, well, not a lot of them, but Kitchie, for instance, was terrific in the first half. Newport, magnificent in the second half, and Harding also had a good second half. That was the sort of thing that went on, and Jeffrey, I thought, was superb too before he went off injured. St Kilda had many, many more better players, I think, than Hawthorn. That's why they won the game, of course. However, to pick out the votes, I found it very difficult. I'm sorry, I really had to leave Langford out, and I've left Lockett out. My 3 votes go to Lowe, 1 vote. I thought his marking up forward and his strength in the air and the way he kept persisting, and he just gave a lot of target and leadership up there, I feel. Rice, 2, and Burke I thought was terrific. Both those named 2 last named players, Burke and Rice, showed a lot of courage as well.
Here's Graham Bond.
Once again, I found it very difficult to give votes. I thought it was one of those games where there was a tremendous number of small players working hard to get the ball to the high-marking forwards of both sides. And I came up with Newport. I thought that he was the instigator after half-time that brought St Kilda back into the game and set up all their forward moves, and I gave him 3 votes. I gave Rice 2. I thought he was a great inspiration. That goal he kicked in the last quarter that virtually sealed the game was a wonderful effort. And I found a vote for Peake, and I thought across that half-back line, he's a consistent player every week for St Kilda. He's the player that feeds the ball out to the players going by, and I found a vote for Tim Peakin. So 3 to Newport, 2 to Rice and 1 to Peakin. On our votes today, that gives us a situation where we have Nathan Burke getting 6 votes, Dean Rice getting 6 votes, 4 to Newport, 3 to Lockett, 2 to Lowe, 2 to Langford and 1 to Peakin. So we have a tie. Burke receiving 2 3 votes and Rice 3 2 votes.
Okay, well, there's no countbacks, and on the votes, the Carlton United Breweries, who are grand supporters of 3AW, and we thank them very much for that. That Carlton United Breweries, one of the world's great brewers, you're up for 2 pewters. And thank you very much to Graham Bond for another grand job this afternoon with the team as Bondy heads off us to hear what the coaches say. And it's been a magnificent day in round 11 of VFL football, of AFL football. World of Sport tomorrow at 8 o'clock. A lot of people here at Princes Park saw St Kilda trail by 2 points at quarter time. They led by 2 points at quarter time. They trailed by 5 at half time. And they led by 15 at the last change to run out victors by 26 points. St Kilda's Lockett kicked 7. Winmark kicked 3 and Lowe 2 for the Saints. And for Hawthorn, Hall and Jarman kicked 2 goals each.
Yes, a magnificent game, particularly after half-time. And that is even doing a bit of harm verbally to that first half, which was full of a lot of good football. And you can see by the quarter-time scores that there was nothing in it to half-time in reality. After that, St Kilda played inspired football. And you heard, I think Bondy mentioned one player. In fact, he gave him 3 votes from memory. Stephen Newport, who had a magnificent third quarter, got umpteen possessions, about 15, I think, something of that nature, and a lot of them were very inspirational. There are several tremendous team-lifting things done by players. Rice, for instance, dived forward to hit the ball along the ground, facing oncoming players, took a lot of physical risk. and danger, and yet that was the sort of thing that inspired his teammates. There was some tackling across on the other side by McAdam and Winmar, even though they played on opposite wings on that particular occasion. They were within 30 metres of each other, and they just made run-down tackles from behind with the crowd roaring. It was just very, very uplifting stuff, and it certainly kept St Kilda on the job mentally, because I think this is one area where they do let themselves down a bit. They just turn the ball over too much. Now, some of it's inexperience, some of it's lack of attention to detail, or lack of care, I think, but they do let the other side take it off them when they really have the ball game wide open to them. The forward line is there for the taking, the goal is there for the plucking, so to speak, and yet they do turn it over. One thing I did notice seeing St Kilda in some previous games this season, their field kicking was a little bit down. Today it was definitely better. I came into the ground with their coach, Kenny Sheldon, and we were talking about this, and he felt that he'd done some work on that in the last couple of weeks, because with skilled players, the reason why they don't hit targets more often is just lack of care, lack of concentration, not so much lack of skill, and that's very, very annoying, and it's something that can be corrected over 2 or 3 weeks at training by applying the players' concentration on that during their drill work. And it certainly bore fruit today. Their kicking around the ground was a little bit better, and when you look through the players that they have, gee whiz, some of them played up to their full capacity. All of them play with tremendous courage, and although Hawthorn had to labour under their attack being down for the day because St Kilda's defence was right on the job, they did their work, homework on the Hawthorn attack very, very well. So Hawthorn really had to rely upon just individual effort and team effort upfield, but up on their forward line, particularly with fellas like Hudson, for instance, was taken off the ground after a very ordinary start. Barassi came on. Now, he is also capable of, like Hudson, of getting lots of goals. He couldn't get amongst it. That was due to the good work of Pekin. I thoroughly agree with anyone who praises him. I thought Pekin had a terrific game. Fawley kept Brereton down. Grant was particularly effective on Hall after quarter time. Now, there's 3 players in the St Kilda defence that had very, very big jobs, and they did them magnificently. On-ball players, Coughlin, Rice. Up forward we had Lockett, who I thought was overshadowed today by his opponent Langford. Langford got close to votes here with us today, and his man-to-man duels with Lockett were terrific. I thought he won, but when you see Lockett kicking 7 goals, you know that he's also put in. And that was the story of the St Kilda side. They were absolutely magnificent. I mentioned Lowe. In fact, I gave him 3 votes. Morris, I thought, was terrific against his old side. Kitsy resting in the forward pocket, or opening in the forward pocket. Actually, Lockett opened, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in the ruck on both the beginning of each half. For the first 3 or 4 minutes, obviously the plan there was to let him loosen up, warm up his back a little bit. He has got that crook back, and his opening 4 minutes were in the ruck. Then he would go up to full forward, Low to centre half forward, with Harding or Kitsky into the ruck. I thought Harding played quite well in that second half too, but and Harvey, another pretty good contributor, although he was well covered by Allen. Platten for Hawthorn, another player who can lift his side. Did all right today, but he was taken on by Craven. Craven even went into the back pocket, and so inspired were they. This will give an example of what I mean. The ball came up high up into the forward line, Hawthorn forward line in the last quarter when they were searching for something. They needed a couple of quick goals to break St Kilda's grip on the game. The ball came high into the forward pocket, and who were the 2 players there to contest the overhead duel, the marking duel? You wouldn't believe it, but Little, Craven and Platten. And who should take it but Craven behind on a double grab job over Platten. It was hair-raising stuff, but it gives you the sort of idea of how St Kilda were inspired in that last quarter, and indeed in that second half. A magnificent win, the first time they won here since 1976, and do you know what? Who was the full forward for St Kilda when they last won? It was our little Rexy baby.
Yeah, thank you very much to Ron Barassi. And when we come